The Throne of the Mechas. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 926 Slave Market. Sky-splitting axe, A-class weapon, 20,000 star crystals. Blood coagulating spear, A-class mecha weapon, 18,000 star crystals. Rainbow sword, A-class mecha weapon, 15,000 star crystals. On the personal terminal, the prices of A-class mecha weapons were listed in categories. HMM. After looking at the prices, Xia Xingchen frowned slightly. The price of A-class mecha weapons was not as high as he had imagined. You know, the price of a top quality A-class mecha weapon in the Galactic Empire can even be comparable to that of a mecha of the same level. But in the Chaos Star domain, the price of A-class mecha weapons is not much different from the price of engines. Of course, this price is not enough to lose money, but the profit margin is obviously much smaller, which is not very cost effective. It is somewhat different from the sky-high price that Xia Xingchen imagined. Swish. Xia Xingchen slid his finger down and continued to browse the information of A-class mecha weapons. Sliding to the bottom, two high-priced A-class mecha weapons suddenly jumped into his eyes, and Xia Xingchen exclaimed. Skybone Blade, 100,000 star crystals. Sky Dragon Crystal Spear, 150,000 star crystals. The prices of these two A-level weapons are obviously much higher, 5 times or even 10 times the previous weapons. Why? They are both A-level mecha weapons. Why are these two so expensive? Xia Xingchen frowned, a little confused. Oh, you mean this? It's very simple, because the A-level mecha weapons in front are copied by cutting-edge arsenals such as Tang Dynasty Group using the latest technology. The Skybone Blade and Sky Dragon Crystal Spear at the bottom are forged by mecha design masters in Chaos Star domain using Sacred Beast level materials and going through untold hardships. Xia said. A-level mecha weapons of Star Skeleton Beast armor. Could it be that they are more powerful? Xia Xingchen raised his eyebrows. Not entirely. Xia shook his head. A mecha master once conducted an evaluation. The power of the two is actually not much different. Then why are the prices so different? Xia Xingchen asked. Because of the difficulty of repair. Mecha weapons are more susceptible to damage than other parts of mechas. Even if they are used normally, after a few battles, their durability will decrease, and their strength will drop significantly. The A-level mecha weapons produced by the Tang Dynasty Group have all applied for patents. After the weapons are damaged, they must be taken to a special repair point for repair. However, there are no repair points in the Chaos Star domain. As for the A-level mecha weapons of the Star Skeleton Beast armor, let alone their self-repair capabilities. At least in the Chaos Star domain, you can find several mecha repair masters to repair them. However, the price is not cheap. Tai Xiang said. I see. Xia Xingchen nodded. In fact, the most important thing about a mecha is not only its performance, it is also the difficulty of repair. Even if a mecha has good performance, but it is extremely difficult to repair, then this mecha will only be eliminated. Xia Xingchen does not need to worry about the problem of repairing weapons after they are damaged. He has a magic weapon system that can use telekinesis to condense weapons. This kind of telekinesis weapon, not to mention its power, does not need to be repaired, which is already superior to other mecha weapons. It is a truly priceless treasure. You want to sell A-class mecha weapons? Tai Xiang looked at Xia Xingchen and shook his head. I advise you not to sell it. This kind of weapon is hard to sell on Black Tower Star, and the price is not high. You are eager to cash out. Why don't I lend it to you? It doesn't matter. I want to try. Xia Xingchen filled in the basic information of the sun shooting bow, thought for a while, and filled in 80,000 star crystals in the price column. 80,000 star crystals? Tai Xiang was stunned, looking at Xia Xingchen in disbelief. This price is too high. It's impossible to sell it. It's just a mass-produced A-class mecha weapon, and it can be sold for 8,000 star crystals. My weapon is definitely worth 80,000. Xia Xingchen shook his head. I just don't know how lucky I am, whether I will meet someone who knows the value of the weapon. Ha ha ha. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. You will definitely not be able to sell it at 80,000. Tai Xiang laughed and shook his head. Although you are a master, you are more proficient in mechas than me, but you are a newcomer and don't understand the market in the Chaos Star domain. Want to make a bet? Xia Xingchen raised his eyebrows. Okay, how do we bet? There are few pirates who don't like to gamble. Tai Xiang got interested when he heard it and rubbed his hands vigorously. If I can't sell this weapon, I lose. I'll lend you the money. If I sell it, I win. You treat me to a drink at the best bar on Black Tower. Xia Xingchen said with a smile. Okay. Tai Xiang stretched out his hand and high-fived Xia Xingchen. Let's go. The weapons are already on sale. Let's go around first. Xia Xingchen smiled, closed the personal terminal, and walked into the elevator. The Black Tower has a total of 99 floors, and there are 10 floors underground, a total of 109 floors. Let's start from the underground. After obtaining Xia Xingchen's consent, Tai Xiang pressed the elevator button to the 10th floor underground. A few seconds later, the elevator door opened, and a wave of heat rushed in, and the air was full of the smell of hormones. Deafening shouts came from the end of the passage, and the earth shook. Haha, you're shocked, right? The 10th underground floor is the slave trading area of the Black Tower. Here, as long as you have money, you can buy any slave. Of course, you can also bring slaves here to sell. The bottom floor is the arena. Slaves fight each other below. The winning slaves will be worth a lot more. Therefore, some slave owners will let slaves participate in the fight in order to sell slaves at a high price. What you just heard was the sound from the arena. Tixan smiled and said, Axing, if it weren't for you, if we were caught by the deep sea demon star pirates, we would probably be sold here as slaves. Slave trading. Xia Xingchen frowned slightly. He was born a miner. In fact, miners in the Galactic Empire are legal slaves and cannot enjoy the treatment of citizens at all. It is precisely because of this that Xia Xingchen has been fighting for the freedom of miners. The Galactic Empire is like this, let alone these rude, barbaric, cunning and cruel star pirates. For them, slave trading is too normal. On both sides of the passage were huge iron cages, which held ragged humans and alien races, men and women, old and young, all looking at Xia Xingchen with eager eyes. In a huge fish tank, there was a beautiful mermaid winking at Xia Xingchen, hoping that he could buy her and redeem her. Mermaid. Xia Xingchen's eyes were immediately attracted, but when he saw the price in front of the fish tank was 50,000 star crystals, he immediately took a breath of cold air. The women of the mermaids, angels, and elves are very similar to those in human legends, so they are very expensive. Tixan shrugged his shoulders. They are toys for the rich, and a poor person like me can't afford them at all. Xia Xingchen continued to walk forward, and suddenly at this time there was a buzzer from his personal terminal. He picked it up, and took a look, and a bright smile like the sun suddenly appeared on his face. Sun shooting bow. 80,000 star crystals. It has been sold. Chapter 927. Invitation from the Jackdaw. What? Already sold? Tai Xiang looked incredulous. How could it be possible? Aren't these A-class mecha weapons that are difficult to repair slow selling? Tai Xiang quickly opened his personal terminal and found that those A-class mecha weapons that cost 10,000 or 20,000 star crystals were still on the list. Some of them even showed that they had been sold for more than 3 months. Only the sun-shooting bow was displayed as being ordered for just a few minutes. Order. Maybe someone was idle and operated the personal terminal randomly and made a mistake. Tai Xiang persuaded himself in his heart. However, there was no sign of cancellation of this order. After a few seconds, the status of the order changed again and became paid. In other words, the buyer had already paid the deposit. Oh my god. Why is this? Tai Xiang felt dizzy and couldn't figure it out. You know, after paying the deposit, the purchased goods can still be cancelled. However, even if it is cancelled, a tax of 1,000th must be paid to the Black Tower. If it is a small amount, a tax of 1,000th is nothing. However, 1,000th of 80,000 star crystals is 80 star crystals. It is equal to the income of the Bloody Mary star pirates for half a month. In other words, this buyer is determined to spend 80,000 star crystals to buy the sun shooting bow. What magic does this sun shooting bow have? Tai Ziang carefully read the information of the sun shooting bow on his personal terminal, but still couldn't understand why this plain looking longbow covered with vines is worth so much money. The buyer must be a country bumpkin who doesn't know the value of things. I have to say that this master named A Crossing is really lucky. Tai Ziang glanced at Xia Xingchen, who looked indifferent, and sighed in his heart. Haha, what a lucky guy. It's just that I'm in a hurry to use the money, otherwise, how could I buy such a good A-level mecha weapon with only 80,000 star crystals? Xia Xingchen chuckled at the side, implying that this buyer still got a great bargain. Tai Ziang, what should I do next? Where should I go to get the official delivery payment? Xia Xingchen asked. Any counter window on any floor will do. Xingchen pointed to a window not far away. It's quite convenient. Xia Xingchen walked to the window, filled in his account information under the guidance of the service staff, and quietly took out the sun-shooting bow from his personal space and handed it to the person who came to pick up the goods. The transaction went smoothly. Xia Xingchen saw that there were 80,000 more star crystals in his account, and a smile suddenly appeared on his face. This money was a timely help, which solved his urgent needs. He was happier than when he made tens of billions or hundreds of billions in the north. 80,000 star crystals. 80,000 star crystals. This is 80,000 star crystals. Xingchen's voice was filled with an excitement that was difficult to conceal. To be honest, he had never seen so much money in his life. And the master in front of him, named Axing, made so much money casually. At this moment, Xingchen's psychology was very complicated. It would be a lie to say that he was not envious and jealous. Everyone has a hatred of the rich, and Xingchen is no exception. What's more, he saw the people around him suddenly become rich, and he really felt a little unbalanced. Hey, you are so lucky. I don't know where this country bumpkin came from, a sucker. Why don't I have such good luck? Xingchen sighed, complaining and pitying himself, attributing everything to luck. Haha. Xia Xingchen smiled and didn't explain too much to Xingchen. Just when Xia Xingchen was about to turn around and leave, a staff member in the window behind suddenly chased out and stopped Xia Xingchen. What? Isn't the transaction completed? Is there anything? Xia Xingchen looked at the staff in front of him and asked. Oh, distinguished sir, it's not a transaction problem. Let me introduce myself. My name is Roy, and I'm the supervisor here. The staff member was a middle-aged man in his 40s, with a look of panic on his face. Although Xia Xingchen standing in front of him was a young man who looked just 20 years old. But Roy knew very well that this young man had just completed a big deal of 80,000 star crystals. Such a person is not something that a small supervisor like him can afford to offend. Manager Roy, if you have anything to say, please tell me directly. I don't have much time. Xia Xingchen frowned and said. Mr. Crossing, this is it. Roy took out a small wooden box from his pocket and handed it to Xia Xingchen respectfully. Xia Xingchen opened the box and found a skull ring inside. Although the workmanship was fine, the texture was ordinary and there was nothing special about it. VIP ring? When Xingchen saw the skull ring, he was stunned, his mouth wide open, and his face was full of astonishment. Yes, it's a VIP ring. Roy smiled flatteringly at Xia Xingchen. You have just completed a large transaction. According to our Black Tower's point rating, you have obtained VIP status. Those who own this ring are the most distinguished guests of our Black Tower. Not only can you enjoy a 20% discount on any transaction in the Black Tower, but you can also have free VIP status and more discounts at the annual Black Tower Star Treasure Auction. Oh. Xia Xingchen nodded slightly and put away the skull ring representing the VIP. Seeing that Roy had no intention of leaving, he asked, Roy, do you have anything else to say? Haha, Mr. Axing, this is it. Roy laughed dryly and rubbed his hands nervously. In theory, as an intermediary, our Black Tower cannot disclose the identities of the buyer and seller. However, the guest who just bought your sun-shooting bow is a very distinguished status and wants to meet you and invite you to lunch. Do you agree? Want to see me? Xia Xingchen frowned, and a trace of vigilance rose in his heart. Who is it? Edward the Jackdaw. Roy thought about it, smiled, and solemnly said a name. Edward the Jackdaw? Oh my god, the fool who bought the sun-shooting bow turned out to be Edward the Jackdaw, one of the 7-star pirate overlords. Teaction was shocked again. Edward of the Jackdaw Star Pirates was a star pirate overlord as famous as Blackbeard. The Star Pirate Overlord is the emperor of the Chaos Star domain. Any Star Pirate Overlord is a powerful big man, and ordinary Star Pirates can hardly see him. Especially Edward the Jackdaw. Among the 7 Star Pirate Overlords, he is the most mysterious. Rumor has it that Edward has an imperial noble title and a military background, and his backstage is terrible. Acting, Edward the Jackdaw is a real big man. He invited you to lunch, and there must be no malice. This is a good opportunity. If you want to stand out in the Chaos Star domain, you must seize this rare opportunity. Teaction said hurriedly. I'm sorry, I don't know any Jackdaw Edward, and I don't have the habit of eating with strangers. Please apologize to Mr. Edward for me. Xia Xingchen decisively rejected the invitation without waiting for Teaction to finish his words. Chapter 928 Gambling. Mr. Crossing, would you like to reconsider it? Roy had never expected that Xia Xingchen would actually reject Edward's invitation, and reject it so decisively. No need, Xia Xingchen said lightly. Oh, okay. Roy was helpless. The rules of the Black Tower could not be broken. Even if the inviter was the Star Pirate Overlord, if Xia Xingchen refused the invitation, the Black Tower would be helpless. It's a bit difficult to explain to Edward. Roy looked at Xia Xingchen's back as he left, gritted his teeth, walked up a staircase next to him, came to the door of a private room, and knocked on the door with his head held high. The door opened, and 2 burly men blocked the door. They looked Roy up and down with ferocious eyes. Who are you? I'm Roy, the supervisor of the slave market, and I just talked to Mr. Edward. Roy's forehead was sweating, and he said in a low voice, "Oh, Supervisor Roy, come in." A lazy voice came from behind the big man. Roy walked into the room and saw a man dressed in luxurious clothes, with gemstone rings on his fingers and jewels all over his body. He was sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed, amber wine in his goblet, and looking at him with a smile on his face. The man had a handsome face and golden curly hair, but his face was a little pale. There was a taste of elegance in his gestures. Obviously, he was the legendary Edward the Jackdaw, a mysterious man. It was also the first time Roy met Edward, and he immediately bowed deeply. "Roy, how are you doing with the task I asked you to do? Where is the owner of the sun-shooting bow?" Edward shook the wine glass, and the reflection of the wine showed his smile. "I'm sorry, sir." He refused. Roy lowered his head and whispered, "Refused? Didn't you say my name?" Edward was slightly startled, and a look of disbelief appeared on his face. "I said it, but he still refused." Roy said, "Interesting. Really interesting. I, Edward, am the Star Pirate Overlord after all. How could someone be so disrespectful to me?" Edward laughed, but there was no smile in his eyes. "Sir, how about I find him again, and persuade him?" Roy said. "Forget it. I invited him to lunch on a whim. Since he is so disrespectful, forget it. Besides, my warriors are about to perform on stage, so it's a good opportunity to try out the power of this legendary sun-shooting bow." Edward waved his hand, signaling Roy to leave the room. With his hands behind his back, he walked to the huge floor-to-ceiling glass window in front, and looked down at the huge arena below. The stands on both sides of the arena were crowded with people. Countless men held betting tickets in their hands, shouting loudly, with ferocious faces like beasts. On the electronic screen above the arena, there were 2 names written, God of War and Green Sorrow. The numbers following them were the odds of these 2 people. Obviously, the odds of Green Sorrow are lower, which means that gamblers are not optimistic about the performance of Green Sorrow. This is no wonder, because this mecha master nicknamed God of War is the annual champion of this underground arena and a cash cow cultivated by Blackbeard at a huge cost. In this year, there are more than 100 mecha masters who died in front of the God of War. Green Sorrow is unknown, and has never fought in the underground arena. The odds of the annual champion and the anonymous person did not fall to the bottom, because Edward used an astronomical number of star crystals to buy Green Sorrow to win, and forcibly pulled up the odds. However, this astronomical figure is just a drop in the bucket for Edward's bet with Blackbeard. Because of the relationship of interest, there are often frictions between star pirates. Especially for star pirate overlords like Edward and Blackbeard, the starfields they control are too large and there are many disputes. There are 2 ways to resolve disputes. The simplest and most direct way is to go to war directly. Generally, the way to resolve disputes for small and medium-sized star pirate groups is this simple, crude and efficient method. But for star pirate overlords like Edward and Blackbird, the losses would be too great if they went to war. Therefore, they chose a second method, which was gambling. This time, Edward and Blackbird had a conflict over 4 important planets. After the meeting, they chose to settle the dispute by gambling. Green Sorrow was the elite warrior selected by Edward. The victory or defeat between Green Sorrow and Ayers was not only related to the huge bet, but also to the ownership of these planets, as well as the face of Edward and Blackbird. It's started. It's out. Ayers has appeared. Yes. A huge cheer broke out in the arena, and the center of the venue was brightly lit, with a 10-meter tall humanoid mecha. This mecha is the king of the underground arena of the Black Tower. Yes. Ayers is not only equipped with 2 sets of spiritual power paint, but also a star skeleton beast armor. The pilot of the Ayers was a quasi A-class mecha master, with scars of all sizes all over his body, and a murderous look in his eyes. The light shone to the other side. A dark green mecha appeared, with a long bow behind it, which was the sun shooting bow. The pilot of Green Sorrow was actually an alien, green in color, with fangs protruding outwards, an Osman. The Osman was somewhat similar to the orcs in human legends, so in the Chaos Star domain, the Osman had a lowly name Orcs. Seeing that Green Sorrow's mecha master was actually an orc, the whole audience immediately booed. Axing, I don't understand. Why don't you agree to Edward's invitation? Xia was still struggling with this matter. Nothing. I don't really like dealing with strangers. Xia Xingchen said lightly. Besides, I can guess what Edward wants to do by inviting me. What for? Xia asked. The sun-shooting bow is not a common item that anyone can buy. He suspected that I had some relationship with the Tang Dynasty group of the Empire. However, he didn't know that I stole the sun-shooting bow from someone else. Xia Xingchen said. Is that longbow really that powerful? 80,000 star crystals. If it breaks, how can it be repaired? Tai Xiang still didn't quite believe it. The sun-shooting bow is a long-range weapon. Although it will have some wear and tear during use, it is much less than melee weapons. Xia Xingchen explained. But, longbows are generally used with arrows. Even if the longbow itself does not wear and tear, the arrows will also wear and tear. Tai Xiang shook his head. This is why the sun-shooting bow is expensive. It doesn't need arrows at all. Pulling the bowstring can send out a powerful air blade. Xia Xingchen said with a smile. A longbow that doesn't need arrows. In other words, there is no wear and tear at all? Oh my god, I didn't expect this A-level weapon to be so abnormal. Tai Xiang was shocked. Chapter 929 One move. Using air blades instead of arrows. The power should not be that great, right? After being shocked, Tai Xiang calmed down and thought about it and felt that the sun-shooting bow was just that. Any weapon has its flaws. The flaw of the sun-shooting bow should be that it is too weak. It looks fancy, but it is actually a large toy with little practicality. For a star pirate overlord like Edward, he has plenty of money, and it is not a big deal to spend 80,000 star crystals to buy a toy. As long as he is happy, it's fine. Tai Xiang thought so in his heart, and unknowingly he had arrived at the underground arena. When he saw the sun-shooting bow engraved with vine patterns on the back of the Green Sorrow mecha, his eyes suddenly widened. Edward, what on earth was he thinking? He actually let his warriors use the sun-shooting bow, a toy, to fight in the ring. Could it be that this warrior is cannon fodder? Tai Xiang was completely stunned. Hiss. Tai Xiang looked up and saw the odds on the electronic screen and immediately took a breath of cold air. Anyone with normal IQ can see that Edward spent a lot of money to buy Green Sorrow to win, so he can't be cannon fodder. Why? Xia was confused. Edward the Jackdaw, this man has good knowledge. In such a remote place in the Chaos Star region, he actually knows the name of the sun-shooting bow. Xia Xingchen also saw the sun-shooting bow on Green Sorrow's back and commented in a low voice. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not talk nonsense. The highlight of the arena today is the god of war against Green Sorrow. Who will win? Everyone, please wait and see. The host held the microphone and shouted loudly. Now, the battle begins. Swish. The iron fences on both sides of the arena slowly rose. The moment the iron fences rose, the god of war mecha turned into a flash of lightning and pounced on Green Sorrow. On his own territory, the god of war will not allow the lowly orcs to live for one more second. In the cockpit of the Green Sorrow mecha, the young Osman warrior Rom put his hands on his chest, with a pious look on his face, praying to the beast god believed by the Osman. After the prayer, Rom's green skin was covered with a hazy green light, and the whole person was bathed in a strange light. Rom slowly opened his eyes, and saw the air's mecha rushing over. He took off the sun-shooting longbow from his back without panic, and pulled the bowstring with his arm, like a full moon. Boom. The moment the bowstring was released, the air condensed together, and turned into a tornado with a diameter of 4 meters. The head of the tornado was actually a giant dragon. It opened its mouth, and swallowed the air's mecha whole. After shooting this shocking arrow, Rom was exhausted and collapsed on the driver's seat, with beads of sweat on his forehead. The arrow just now had drained all of Rom's mental power. If the heirs can withstand this blow and still have the ability to fight, then Rom will lose. There is a high-strength transparent barrier around the arena that can directly resist the attack of the laser cannon. However, at this time, the barrier was trembling in the strong wind, and it seemed that it could crack at any time. The faces of the people present were full of astonishment. Many people held their heads in their hands and hid under the chairs. Although they knew that the power could not affect them, they were still afraid in their hearts, which showed how terrifying the power of this arrow was. Seeing the power of this arrow, Xia Xingchen's pupils also shrank to the size of a needle tip. The sun-shooting bow in the hands of this Osman driving Green Sorrow was much more powerful than in his hands. Xia Xingchen was not good at using bows, and did not do much research on the sun-shooting bow. However, the mecha master who drove the Robin Hood mecha specially asked the Tang Dynasty group to tailor a mecha for the sun-shooting bow. The power of the sun-shooting bow in his hands was far less than that of this Osman. The sun-shooting bow in the hands of this Osman had a feeling of being one with the sun. The sun-shooting bow was originally an alien relic. Maybe it has something to do with the Osman. Xia Xingchen guessed in his heart. At this time, the thick smoke in the center of the arena dissipated, revealing the ground that was broken apart and covered with deep gullies cut by the powerful tornado. The air's mecha was motionless, half kneeling on the spot. The life support system on the mecha showed that the mecha pilot had lost his life signs. One move. The heirs died. The whole audience was silent, and after a long while, crazy cheers began to sound. But the most excited person was Edward, who was watching the game in the VIP room. To be honest, when Green Shang came on the court, Edward was still worried for him. Fortunately, Green Shang lived up to everyone's expectations and killed Blackbeard's strongest warrior, the heirs, with just one move. This time, Edward not only won the bet, but also saved his face and slapped Blackbeard hard with a loud slap. Rom, who was exhausted, got out of the mecha and was brought to Edward as soon as possible. Edward personally helped Rom up and praised him. Rom, you did a good job. Reward. A big reward. Thank you, Captain. Rom whispered, I can win, thanks to the captain who helped me find the artifact of our Os people. Although it is just a replica, it is enough to defeat the god of war. Well, the sun-shooting bow is in your hands. It is like a tiger with wings. It's a pity I didn't invite the person who sells the sun-shooting bow. It's a pity. Edward sighed, and a trace of disappointment appeared in his eyes. Edward invited Xia Xingchen to have lunch together, not all out of kindness. He learned from Rom that the sun-shooting bow is actually the artifact of their Os people. That's why he wanted to invite the person who sold the sun-shooting bow to ask if he knew the whereabouts of the original sun-shooting bow. Edward planned to use courtesy first and then force. If the other party told the truth, it would be fine. If the other party was not honest, Edward didn't mind letting him taste the cruel methods of the Star Pirates. Although Xia Xingchen's guess was not entirely correct, he was alert enough and escaped. What kind of weapon is this sun-shooting bow? One move. The god of war is dead. Tai Xiang found that he was completely wrong. The power of the sun-shooting bow, an A-level mecha weapon, was beyond his imagination, and could even be compared with a large plasma cannon. What a loss. Master Axing. You only sold such a powerful weapon for 80,000 star crystals. It's really a loss. Tai Xiang's concept took a 180-degree turn. He looked regretful and beat his chest as if he had made the deal. Then how much do you think it should be sold for? Xia Xingchen smiled faintly. How much? I can't say. At least it should be taken to the Black Tower's annual treasure auction and let those rich people bid for it. With the power of the sun shooting bow, it will definitely sell for a sky-high price. Tai Xiang said. Once a year. That's too long. I can't wait. As the saying goes, a helping hand in times of need is better than icing on the cake. After all, it's a replica. I'm already satisfied with it for 80,000 star crystals. Xia Xingchen smiled and said, we've seen enough of the arena. Let's go to the slave market and take a look at the mecha upstairs. Xia Xingchen didn't care about the price of the sun-shooting bow. He had money in his hands, and he was thinking about how to rebuild his new mecha. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 930 Flea Market. Black Tower Star is one of the 3 major markets in the Chaos Star region, and the slave market is bustling with people. Xia Xingchen walked in the passage of the slave market, and pedestrians were shoulder to shoulder, very lively. AOC warrior with a mental power of level 30. Only 1000 star crystals. Buy an adult AOC, and give a child. A sloppy slave trader with a whip in his hand shouted. There were more than a dozen slave traders guarding him, and in the cages beside him were ugly AOC wearing leaves and animal skins. There were not only men, but also women. They all looked out through the cages with eager eyes, hoping that someone would buy them. Level 30 spiritual power is equivalent to a B-class mecha master. It's only sold for 1000 star crystals? Xia Xingchen was slightly startled. This is too cheap. Ha, the orcs' spiritual power is not low, but they are stupid and foolish. They have to be trained from scratch to drive mechas. The most important thing is to always be on guard against these green monkeys escaping. If you ask me, those who are not of my race must have different hearts. 1000 star crystals is already expensive. Tixan pointed to the other side, where human slaves were being sold. The same human slaves with level 30 spiritual power would cost at least 10,000 star crystals. This shows how profitable the slave trade is. If they are not of my race, they must have different hearts. Xia Xingchen muttered this sentence, with a bitter smile on his face. Even if they are of the same clan, wouldn't they be scheming and deceiving each other? After passing through the slave market, Xia Xingchen breathed a sigh of relief and spit out the turbid air in his heart. Xia Xingchen opened his personal terminal and began to browse the mecha drawings of the Star Skeleton Beast armor. Xia Xingchen has decided that, since the cost of repairing steel mechas in the Chaos Star domain is too high, he will follow the local customs and make a Star Beast armor. Huh? What's going on? Why are there no Star Beast armor blueprints for sale? Xia Xingchen looked through his personal terminal and found that there were very few blueprints for sale. Even if someone was selling them, the price was ridiculously expensive, ranging from 100,000 star crystals to 1 million star crystals. You want to sell the blueprints of Star Beast armor? Give up, you can't buy them. After hearing this, Tai Xiang waved his hand. The blueprints of Star Beast armor are monopolized by several major forces. Ordinary people can't buy them, even if they spend money. Monopoly? Just like the consortium like the Tang Dynasty Group, which monopolizes many patents? Xia Xingchen raised his eyebrows. All crows are black. Wherever there are humans, there are capitalists who monopolize and hoard goods. The Tang Dynasty Group is better. They are semi-open source in terms of blueprints. Because the top management of the Tang Dynasty Group knows very well that, even if there are blueprints, it is impossible to manufacture the things on the blueprints without the industrial level of the Tang Dynasty Group. The Chaos Star domain is better, directly monopolizing the blueprints. Of course, this also shows from the side that the most important thing about the Star Skeleton armor is a blueprint, and the industrial level required for manufacturing is not high. Then I want a Star Skeleton armor. What should I do? Xia Xingchen looked at Tixan. Find a mecha master with blueprints to order it. Of course, you have to prepare the materials yourself. The price of their materials is too high. The OEM fee is also very high. Tixan paused, and suddenly his eyes lit up. Or, let's try our luck at the flea market. Let's go to the flea market. Xia Xingchen nodded, followed Xing into the elevator, and went to the 33rd floor. The elevator door opened, and there was a huge market outside. Many people sat on the ground. In front of the square meter, there were all kinds of weird things. This is the flea market. Many people can't afford the deposit of 1-star crystal, and most of the things they sell are cheap. Black Tower is too lazy to take commissions, so it opened up such a place for self-trading. Most of the things here are worthless, and occasionally you can buy good things, all depending on your own vision. Xing explained. Xia Xingchen nodded, walked forward, and looked around. There were all kinds of things on the roadside stalls, including armor parts, fuel rods, herbs, minerals, animal skins and bones, and alien relics with strange shapes, and covered with rust. There were even meditation diagrams and equipment structure diagrams for sale. In short, this place had everything, and it was numerous and diverse. The prices of the things were not expensive, and the most expensive was only 100-star crystals. Xia Xingchen looked all the way and shook his head secretly. There were too few valuable things here, and most of them were fakes. It would be like looking for a needle in a haystack to find the blueprint of the star skeleton beast armor here. No. 5,000 star crystals, not a single one less. This is the beast god statue that I stole from the temple of my tribe with great effort. I'm already risking blasphemy. Someone offered 3,000 star crystals before, but I didn't sell it. You want to buy it for 1,000 star crystals? It's simply robbery. A hoarse voice came from the side. Xia Xingchen looked over curiously. There were dozens of people surrounding a stall. The stall owner was a tall green-skinned Osman, with white hair, wrinkles all over his face, and worn fangs in his mouth. What is this? This Osman is actually selling it for 5,000 star crystals? Xing was also very curious. 5,000 star crystals may not be a big deal for some big star pirates, but for the Osman, 5,000 star crystals is a huge fortune. It's just a broken statue. How dare you sell it for 5,000 star crystals? You green-skinned bastard. Are you tired of living? I'll give you 5,000 star crystals. Do you dare to take it? Believe it or not, as soon as you go out, you will be ambushed. I just think the statue is pretty and the workmanship is unique. I want to give it to the leader's woman as a gift. 1,500 star crystals, no more. Several star pirates in front of the stall, with their hands on their waists, bargained with the Osman, spitting and waving their hands in a rude manner. 5,000 star crystals. Not a single one can be less. The old Os gritted his teeth and refused to let go. He looked at the star pirates with vigilant eyes and held a statue tightly in his arms, fearing that these lawless star pirates would rob them. The Os planet was captured by humans, and many Os were abducted and sold to various planets in the Milky Way. Among them was the family of this old Os, Guden. In order to redeem his family, Guden risked blasphemy and stole the statue from the Os temple. He didn't know the value of the statue, but in order to redeem his son, daughter, grandchildren, he needed 5,000 star crystals. Not a single one could be less. What on earth is this? It's selling for 5,000 star crystals? Take it out and have a look. Xing stepped forward and said to the old Os. The people around him were surprised when they saw it. Iron Bear, the first mate on the Bloody Mary, the first mate of the 2-star pirate group. He is a big shot. The star pirates made way for Xia Xingchen and Xing to pass. Tai Xiang was very proud and smiled at Xia Xingchen. In other places in the Black Tower, I'm an insignificant pawn. But in the flea market, the first mate of the 2-star pirate group has a high enough status, and many people here know me. Chapter 931 Azure Dragon Statue. Xing was not bragging. When the space pirates around saw him coming, they all had flattering smiles on their faces. Some of them even greeted Xing enthusiastically. Xing waved in response. Space pirates are all on the edge of a knife, believing in the principle that the strong are respected. Xing is the first mate of the 2-star pirate group, a B-class mecha master, with good strength and a high prestige among the space pirates. When the old Os saw the space pirates, they all stepped aside like mice seeing cats. When they saw a tall and sturdy man coming over, they were immediately frightened and trembled all over, and panic appeared on their green faces. Humans are the kings of the Milky Way. except for a very small number of alien races that can compete with humans in remote star regions. Most alien races have been conquered by humans. The Os are one of them. Belsa once said that, although the Os are ugly, they are a kind race and worship humans very much. Even an ordinary human will be treated as a VIP when he arrives at the gathering place of the Os. What is it? Take it out and let me see it. Tixin stepped forward and looked at the old Osman. Dear sir, this is the sacred object of our Osman. I stole it from the temple with great difficulty. The old Osman hurriedly and respectfully handed over a palm-sized green statue with both hands. He was obviously a little flustered, and his hands were shaking slightly. Obviously, he was very afraid that the tall star pirate in front of him would rob his treasure. Qin Yun led the Imperial Expeditionary Force to conquer the Osman planet and captured the royal family of the Osman and took them away. However, the suffering of the Osman did not end. The star pirates in the chaotic starfield, like sharks that smell blood, came to Osman to plunder in waves. The things on Osman were almost robbed by the star pirates. Therefore, in the mind of the old Osman, star pirates robbing things is commonplace. He only hoped that this tall star pirate named Tixin would not look down on his statue. Tai Xiang took the statue, and his hand sank slightly. This was a dragon statue, and its shape was very similar to the totem dragon believed by the Chinese people, with smooth scales on its body. But this dragon was standing upright, with a pair of huge dragon wings behind it. Generally speaking, it was more like the giant dragon in Western legends. The dragon statue was dark green, emitting a soft light, and had a crystalline texture. It felt hard, neither gold nor stone, and a refreshing coolness permeated from it, making it very comfortable to hold in the hand. Moreover, the statue itself could resonate with Tai Xiang's mental power. Tai Xiang knew that this was because the material of the statue was a kind of tree produced on Aoshi star, called Qinglan wood. This tree was regarded as a sacred tree by the Aoshi people, and it could grow up to 100 meters high. The Aoshi people built tree houses on this giant tree and lived in the tree houses. In addition to fill liquid metal, Qinglan wood was also one of the materials for making mental force sensing devices. In the past, the Aoshi people had not been conquered, and the production of Qinglan wood was very small. However, now that Aoshi star has been plundered, the price of Qinglan wood is naturally much lower. A piece of Qinglan wood with a diameter of 1 meter and a length of 10 meters only costs 500 star crystals in the Black Tower. This dragon-shaped statue is carved from Qinglan wood. Although the workmanship is very exquisite, and the green wood has a black color, it is obviously quite old. However, such a statue actually costs 5,000 star crystals, which is already a high price. Tixin snorted coldly and looked at the Aoshi people. It is said that Aoshi people are honest. But I think not all Aoshi people are honest. As an Aoshi person, you stole treasures from the temple, which is already a crime of blasphemy, and you are also a despicable thief. This statue is just stolen goods, and you dare to sell it for 5,000 star crystals. I think it is only worth 500 star crystals at most. Brother Tixin is right. This Aoshi person is not only a thief, but also a profiteer. That's right. 500 star crystals are a bargain for him. Bah, you lowly green-skinned bastard, you are so cunning. How dare you cheat us humans? The interstellar pirates around all shouted. The old AOS's face turned even greener, and he argued, I'm not a thief. I'm a shaman priest of the temple. If it wasn't for saving my family, how could I steal? I'm really not a thief. Unfortunately, the old AOS's argument was drowned in the surging voices, and some even sneered. You are a shaman priest? Then you are stealing from the public, which is aggravated. Just when the old AOS was speechless, Xia Xingchen suddenly said, let me see it. Yes. Tixin was terrified, and quickly handed the statue in his hand to Xia Xingchen. The surrounding star pirates were all surprised to see Tixin's respectful attitude towards a young man, and they secretly guessed Xia Xingchen's identity. This statue is a bit strange. The whole body is made of blue dragon wood, but the eyes are heather. Heather the size of rice grains is rare. Xia Xingchen took the statue and held it in his hand to look at it carefully. And the dragon claws and dragon wings are also different in texture. It seems to be the bones of a beast. Xia Xingchen's heart trembled slightly. A small statue is made of so many materials, and the parts are combined seamlessly. It's really thoughtful. But 5,000 star crystals is still a bit expensive. Xia Xingchen shook his head and prepared to return the dragon statue to the old Osman. This young gentleman, you are a person who knows the goods. To be honest, we Os people believe in the god of all beasts. Under the god of beasts, there are 4 sacred beasts to protect. This statue is the sacred azure dragon. And in the legend of our Os people, there is a huge secret hidden in the statue. Those who can decipher this secret can gain powerful power comparable to the god of all beasts. However, the Os people are dull, and no one has deciphered this secret for tens of thousands of years. You humans are so smart, and you are the overlord of the galaxy. You must know what the secret is. The old Osman seemed to have seen the last straw, and tried his best to explain the origin of the statue to Xia Xingchen. When will I be able to decipher the secret that you Os people have been unable to decipher for thousands of years? Xia Xingchen immediately laughed. 5,000 star crystals is indeed too expensive. If you can offer a lower price, I can consider it. Xia Xingchen is not a stupid sucker. He has traveled all over the northern starfield. He is a middleman who buys low and sells high. He is very familiar with bargaining. The price cannot be changed. It must be 5,000 star crystals. If you think it's cheap, then I can add this. The Osman hesitated for a while, and finally gritted his teeth, and took out a dirty booklet from his arms. He handed it to Xia Xingchen with both hands very carefully. Chapter 932, Sky High Power. Xia Xingchen took the booklet, and found that it was made of unknown animal skin. He opened it, and saw an Osman painted in a clumsy style, performing various strange movements. It looked like an ancient martial arts secret book of China. Do Osman also practice martial arts? Xia Xingchen laughed dumbly, and handed the booklet back directly. I have no interest in the martial arts of Osman. Dear sir, don't you know? This is not an ordinary martial arts, but the secret of our Osman, Sky High Kung Fu. Practicing according to the movements above can not only strengthen your body, but also increase your mental strength. The old Osman said mysteriously. Sky High Kung Fu. Increase mental strength? Xia Xingchen's body suddenly shook, and his face showed astonishment. The civilization of the Osman is completely different from the technological civilization of humans. Although the Osman have existed for tens of thousands of years, they are still in a barbaric primitive society, with backward technology, and they can't even step out of their own planet. According to legend, tens of thousands of years ago, the Osman were also glorious, and dominated the nearby starfields. I just don't know why the Os people have suddenly declined until now. The way humans cultivate spiritual power is very simple and monotonous, that is, meditation. With the help of meditation pictures, they can calm their minds, strengthen their brains, absorb energy from the universe, and strengthen their spirits. When the spiritual power reaches a certain level, the brain cells become more active, and they can control the brain to secrete hormones, and then change the body, cultivate the brain, and strengthen the body. This is the way humans go. However, the Os people are completely opposite. They seem to strengthen their brains by cultivating their bodies. Xia Xingchen thought carefully. The warriors of ancient China not only have strong bodies, but also great wisdom. The path they take is similar to that of the Os people. However, humans did not persist in going on. Halfway through, they chose to give up cultivating the body, develop technology, and evolve the brain. The Os people have been taking this path of cultivating the body. Interesting. But, are you serious? Xia Xingchen's eyes flashed with a trace of heat. If the Sky High power is true, with Xia Xingchen's foundation in ancient martial arts, he should make progress soon. Xia Xingchen must raise his mental power level to level 50 in a short period of time, to become an S-class mecha master, to improve the authority of the Star Domain Arc. Therefore, Xia Xingchen is very interested in any method to improve mental power. The Sky High technique is real, but it's a pity that it's a piece of shit and worthless. Tai Xiang suddenly sneered and looked at the old Osman. Old man, don't be shameless. Want to cheat my friends? No way. I know your broken Sky High technique, and it's not worth a single star crystal. You know Sky High technique? Xia Xingchen said in astonishment. Of course I know it. Not to mention me. Ask the star pirates present. How many of them don't know it? Tai Ziong bent his arms, letting the muscles on his arms swell, and said triumphantly, "Sky high technique is a good thing. Otherwise, with my qualifications, how could I become a B-class mecha master? Isn't it just sky high technique? It's been everywhere for a long time. I know it too." A star pirate next to him interrupted and immediately made a few poses, exactly the same as the movements in the booklet. Haha, this is called sky high technique. I just joined the star pirates and the captain asked me to practice it. Well, we can't afford a good meditation chart, so practicing sky high technique is not bad. It can really enhance mental strength. But it's much harder than meditation. Meditation is harder. Sitting in meditation without being able to move is suffocating. I'd rather practice it. The star pirates talked about it. Sky high technique is very popular in the Chaos Star region, and it has reached the point where everyone can do it. So that's it. A mystery in Xia Xingchen's heart was revealed, and an expression of sudden enlightenment appeared on his face. No wonder, after Xia Xingchen arrived in the Chaos Star region, he found out why the mental strength of the mecha masters here was ridiculously high. It turned out that they all practiced sky high technique, and their mental strength was one level higher than that of the mecha masters of the Galactic Empire. Sky high technique is a secret of the OS people, but with the capture of OS Star, this secret has become known to everyone and is worthless. Different. The old OS walked up to Xia Xingchen and explained in a low voice, they practice the ordinary motion gong. The mental power can be raised to level 40 at most. I'm a shaman priest of the temple. I practice the complete motion gong, which can raise the mental power to level 50 or even higher. It's different. But, you have no evidence. Xia Xingchen was still hesitant. Meow meow meow. At some point, Xia slipped out of Xia Xingchen's personal space again, squatted on his shoulder, and washed his face with his paws. Xia, when it's busy, you run out to make trouble. Xia Xingchen scratched Xiaoka's chin lovingly. Xiaoka had an intoxicated expression, barked a few more times, and suddenly jumped onto the dragon-shaped statue and tapped it with his paw. The meaning was obvious, asking Xia Xingchen to buy it. 5,000 star crystals. I'll buy it. Xia Xingchen had already felt that there was something strange about the dragon-shaped statue, but he was a little hesitant because he thought 5,000 star crystals were too expensive. However, Xiaoka's actions immediately strengthened his confidence. Xia Xingchen is considered to be well informed among humans. However, he is just a human. Xiaoka is a clone of Carlos, with hundreds of millions of years of accumulated knowledge in the secrets of the entire galaxy. The old OS was surprised and delighted, and hurriedly said, "Dear sir, you really know what's good. The statues of our OS must hide big secrets. With this money, I can go and redeem my family. Thank you so much." Xia Xingchen didn't say much, and immediately transferred 5,000 star crystals from his account, and gave them to the old OS, then took the dragon statue and the sky high gong and turned away. The old OS knelt on the ground, thanking excitedly. "Humph, you are lucky old man. You actually met a rich nobleman. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to sell it, even if you sold it for a year. Let's go. We can't afford to offend Iron Bear. Let's not make things difficult for this green-skinned old thing." After watching the excitement, the star pirates dispersed one after another, leaving the old OS still kneeling in the same place, facing the direction where Xia Xingchen left, with his hands on his chest, praying and blessing him. After a round of walking around the flea market, Xia Xingchen didn't find anything valuable. Feeling a little tired, Xia Xingchen invited Xingchen to the buffet restaurant on the top floor of the Black Tower for dinner. "According to the bet, it's my turn to treat you." Xingchen blushed. "You've been my tour guide and done your best. It's nothing for me to treat you to a meal. Besides, I can still afford a meal." Xia Xingchen smiled and said, "As for treating me to a drink, we are not in a hurry. There will always be a chance. The buffet restaurant costs 2 star crystals per person, which is very expensive. It's also the first time for Xingchen to come here. Seeing all kinds of delicious food, his mouth is watering. On Shinyuan Star, Xia Xingchen can be regarded as a life of luxury. He has seen all kinds of luxurious dishes, so he is not surprised. He randomly selected some food and chatted with Xingchen while eating. After eating and drinking, Xia Xingchen asked, "Is there a quiet room in the Black Tower? I want the best room. I want to take a rest and study the sky high skill." "Yes, of course," Xingchen said repeatedly. "Presidential level suite, 10-star crystals a day. The conditions are very good. I will take you there later." Chapter 933, Hidden Secret. Black Tower, Presidential Suite. Xia Xingchen looked at the neat room and smiled. Luxurious carpets, beautiful paintings on the walls, various utensils made of gold, ivory toothpicks. The pirates in the Black Tower obviously understood the life of a wealthy person and made the presidential suite luxurious and comfortable. 10-star crystals a day. This price is indeed expensive, but it is also very cost effective. Xia Xingchen can endure hardships for a while, but being willing to endure hardships is another matter. Xia Xingchen is an imperial marquis after all, and his quality of life is certainly different from that of dirty and sloppy interstellar pirates. Xingchen walked around the presidential suite and was amazed at the luxury here. Xia Xingchen invited him to stay in the presidential suite, but Xingchen left on the pretext of having something to do. Xingchen was uncomfortable in such a luxurious room, and he still preferred the shack under the port. There, Xingchen felt very free. After closing the room, Xia Xingchen checked that there were no hidden cameras in the suite, and first took out the two things he bought from the old boss and put them on the table. One was a finely crafted azure dragon statue, and the other was a booklet on the animal skin skyward skill. "Xia, what secrets does this azure dragon statue have? Why did you ask me to buy it?" Xia Xingchen looked at the black cat Xia rolling on the stool. Xia turned over and sat up, jumped onto the table, took a look at the azure dragon statue, and then ran to the computer in the room and worked on the keyboard with his cat claws. Although Xia could not speak, his IQ was not low. He understood human language and knew how to use a computer. Xia Xingchen walked over and saw that Xia was using drawing software to draw a mecha blueprint. "This azure dragon statue, have you analyzed it? And the result of the analysis is a mecha?" Xia Xingchen was stunned when he saw Xiao's actions, and his face was full of surprise. "Meow meow meow." Xia nodded repeatedly, calling to Xia Xingchen, as if to ask for credit. This. Xia Xingchen was extremely shocked, rushed over to hold the azure dragon statue in his hands, looked at it carefully, and used his mental power to carefully detect it. Sure enough, Xia Xingchen used his mental power to feel that the head of the azure dragon statue was indeed hollow, and there were also many gaps under the body surface, which was a bit like the structure of mecha. Azure dragon wood can resonate with mental power, that is, it will interfere with the detection of mental power. If it weren't for Xiao's reminder, Xia Xingchen's powerful mental power would not be able to detect the hidden mystery in the azure dragon statue. Not to mention, it would be even more impossible for others to detect it. As for the AO people, the azure dragon statue has been placed in the temple of the AO people for 10,000 years, and only the shaman priests can touch it. The shaman priests may not have thought about this direction at all. Who would have thought that the ancestors of the AO people would actually make a miniature mecha model and hide the blueprint in the statue? Of course, in 10,000 years, perhaps an AO people discovered this secret. However, the AO people have declined to a primitive society. Even if they know the mystery of the azure dragon statue, with their technology and industrial level, it is impossible for them to analyze the blueprint, let alone manufacture it. Why do the AO people have mechas? Xia Xingchen already has the answer to this question. The Milky Way is the home of ancient humans. Ancient humans walked out of the Milky Way, galloped and fought in the universe, and became a powerful race of celestial beings. Under the deliberate guidance of ancient humans, humans took the same old path that they took to become celestial beings. In other words, ancient humans, like humans, are a technological civilization. Starships, mechas, nuclear fusion energy. Civilization is just repeating again and again. From birth to destruction, infinite reincarnation. Many races in the Milky Way were influenced by ancient humans, obtained some technology, and developed a unique civilization system. This is the case with the Manco people. The same is true for the Os people. A powerful civilization can influence weak civilizations. 10,000 years ago, the Os people undoubtedly had their own brilliant civilization. Moreover, the Os people have a similar body structure to humans, and can also cultivate spiritual power. Both civilizations developed different mechas under the influence of ancient humans. However, both civilizations were unfortunate. After the destruction of the ancient humans, they lost their guidance. In the process of evolution, they both took irreversible detours and eventually perished in different ways. It can be seen that the road for a race to evolve into a celestial being is full of thorns and difficulties. No matter what, this Kinglang mecha represents the highest technological achievement of the AOS people. It should be quite powerful. Xia Xingchen's heart was burning with excitement, and he urged Xia to draw the blueprint as soon as possible. Meow meow meow. Xia protested loudly and used his cat's paw to indicate a time. 7 days? Xia Xingchen was stunned for a moment. Xia clearly meant that it would take 7 days to draw this blueprint. You know, Xia computing power is so powerful that it only took a few minutes to analyze any device before. 7 days is a bit too long. Xia imitated Xia Xingchen's actions, shrugged his shoulders, and spread out his two cat's paws. The meaning was very clear. 7 days, not a bit less, and he had no choice. Xia needs 7 days to analyze the mecha. It must be very powerful. It's a big profit. Xia Xingchen not only did not feel that the 7 days of waiting were unbearable, but his heart was burning with excitement. Watching Xia jumping up and down, running back and forth in front of the Azure Dragon statue and the computer, Xia Xingchen prepared to take this opportunity to practice the Sky High Kung Fu. Opening the booklet, Xia Xingchen followed the pictures on it and performed one action after another. Squatting, bend the body, jump, stand on one leg. One action after another. Some actions are simple, but some actions are very complicated. Fortunately, Xia Xingchen has a good foundation in ancient Chinese martial arts, excellent body coordination, flexibility, and high control over the body, so these actions are not difficult for him. If it were someone else, just these strange actions, if you want to perform them exactly the same, it would take several months of continuous practice. As the actions were performed one by one, something wonderful happened. Xia Xingchen felt that his heart slowly calmed down, his mind was empty, and he entered a deep state of meditation. In just a moment, Xia Xingchen felt that the depths of the universe were filled with mighty energy. This energy was absorbed into his body and turned into a hot current, rushing through his body like a big river. Different. It's different from the feeling before. Xia Xingchen immediately felt that before, this energy was absorbed through the top of the head. But now, Xia Xingchen felt that this energy was actually pouring in from the whole body, running through the body, and finally gathered in the head and brain. Xia Xingchen was excited. Using only the top of the head to absorb this cosmic energy was completely different from using the whole body to absorb it. The efficiency was more than 10 times higher. Motion gong. It really works. Xia Xingchen was overjoyed. His meditation efficiency was already extremely amazing, and with the motion gong, it immediately reached an extremely terrifying level. Chapter 934 Air Materials. During this week, Xia Xingchen practiced the Sky High skill in the presidential suite of the Black Tower, and never left the room. 3 meals a day were delivered directly to the suite by the service staff of the Black Tower. Practicing the Sky High skill is not an easy task. However, feeling that his mental power was rapidly improving, Xia Xingchen felt that these hardships were nothing. As time passed, Xia Xingchen's mental power was also increasing rapidly. At the same time, Xia Xingchen began to have more insights into practicing mental power. The brain is the origin of human beings. The reason why humans can become the overlords of the Milky Way is not because of how strong the body is, but because of the smart brain. Xia Xingchen was tired of practicing the Sky High skill, so he sat cross-legged on the bed to meditate, thinking about some problems at the same time. The brain is the specialty of humans. It is also the difference from other races. In particular, the brain can cultivate mental power, which is very enviable for silicon-based life. Therefore, for so many years, humans have even given up their bodies and only strengthened their brains. Xia Xingchen continued to think, but is this path really correct? Not necessarily. Although the human body is weak. But without the body, what's the use of a developed brain? Moreover, Physical exercise can also achieve the purpose of strengthening the brain. A strong body and a wise mind. Both are indispensable. Xia Xingchen's eyes lit up, and he felt that he had figured out a truth. In the future, the confusion on the road of cultivation dissipated a little. Xia Xingchen's will became more determined. Those transformers who abandoned their human bodies for power and transformed their bodies into machines, their choices were wrong. Humans are descendants of ancient humans, with the DNA of celestial beings, and the genes in their bodies are the most powerful. These transformers abandoned their human bodies for temporary power. This approach is not worth the loss. 7 days passed in a flash. Xia Xingchen's mental power has made great progress in these 7 days, from level 41 to level 42. After level 40, each level of mental power improvement is a lot of hard work, not only requiring a lot of hard work, but also some understanding and mentality. In such a short time, Xia Xingchen was able to improve his mental power by 1 level, and he was very satisfied. Cultivation is not something that can be done overnight. Xia Xingchen has a good mentality and is not impatient. Xia, is the drawing finished? Xia Xingchen jumped off the bed and rushed to the computer. At first glance, Xia Xingchen saw Xia sleeping on the keyboard, saliva flowing from his mouth, and snoring. He immediately tiptoed and walked over gently. Xia has been very busy recently. It slept very soundly and could not wake up in a short time. Xia Xingchen gently picked up Xia with both hands, fearing that he would wake it up and put it in his personal space to let it sleep well. Then, Xia Xingchen sat in front of the computer, looking at the mecha blueprint on the screen, and was stunned. Xia Xingchen had seen countless mechas and studied thousands of mecha blueprints. However, he had never seen such a complex and precise mecha blueprint like the Qinglang mecha in front of him. After looking at it for 3 hours, Xia Xingchen rubbed his sore eyes and stopped, sighing in his heart. The design ideas of this mecha are simply amazing and ingenious. The person who can design such a mecha must be a super genius. And the technological and industrial levels required by the Qinglang mecha are really too high. Even if human technology develops for another 200 years, it may not be able to manufacture it. Xia Xingchen frowned slightly. However, I don't have to worry about technology. Xia is here. As long as there are blueprints, he can manufacture the mecha. The key is, the materials used for this Qinglang mecha are too hard to find. From the blueprint, the skeleton of the Qinglang mecha uses the Qinglang sacred wood. That's right, it's not ordinary Qinglang wood, but Qinglang sacred wood. Only the Qinglang wood that has grown for more than 1,000 years can be called the Qinglang sacred wood. The price of the Qinglang sacred wood is 100 times that of the Qinglang wood. Moreover, what Xia Xingchen needs is the skeleton of the mecha, preferably a whole Qinglang sacred wood. The price is even more terrifying, and it is hard to find. The most important thing is that with Xia Xingchen's knowledge, he can't think of any material that can replace the Qinglang sacred wood. The Qinglang sacred wood is extremely sensitive to mental power. Compared with full liquid metal, it is much lighter and stronger. Using the Qinglang sacred wood to make a mecha skeleton can complete a mecha master's idea mental skeleton. The mental force sensing device can no longer fully meet the needs of the mecha master. The mental force skeleton is the direction of future mecha development. However, the mental force skeleton is just an idea. Neither the Tang Dynasty group nor the Lingju Star has yet produced any research results. No way. I can only use Qinglang wood as a substitute temporarily. Xia Xingchen thought about it, and there was only this one way. In addition to the Qinglang sacred wood, the Qinglang mecha also has a special engine called the Heart of Thunder. Xia Xingchen didn't even know what the Thunder Heart was. Fortunately, the engine part could be temporarily replaced by a nuclear fusion engine, such as the Lungsan V. However, even the most advanced Lungsan V, after replacing the Thunder Heart, only had 30% of its original performance. Moreover, the loss of nuclear fuel rods would be very large. It is estimated that the Qinglang mecha's combat time will not exceed 3 hours. 3 hours. The most primitive electric mecha of mankind still has 5 or 6 hours of combat time. The energy provided by the nuclear fusion engine is insufficient. What on earth is this Thunder Heart? Xia Xingchen could only shake his head and smile bitterly. The core parts of the mecha are the skeleton and the engine. With these two things, the mecha can at least move. The rest is the shell of the Kinglang mecha, which is made of the skin of the star-devouring python, to create the star-devouring armor. The star-devouring armor is a star skeleton beast armor component that can absorb a lot of impact, and has the ability to self-repair. This kind of thing can be bought in the Black Tower, but the price is very expensive. Xia Xingchen's 80,000 star crystals can't even buy half of the armor. In addition, the Azure Dragon mech also needs several parts such as crystal dragon claws and sky dragon wings. The materials needed are extremely rare, and even the Black Tower cannot buy them. I can only wait for a while and see if I can buy these rare materials at the Black Tower auction. Before the auction starts, I must make money like crazy. Xia Xingchen clenched his hands, contacted Xing, and walked out of the presidential suite. Xia Xingchen still has 75,000 star crystals on him. First, he will buy a piece of Azure Dragon wood and the Dragon Core V engine to make the prototype of the Azure Dragon mech. Then, he will find a way to make money and equip the Azure Dragon mech with the Devouring Star armor. With Xia Xingchen's magic weapon system, it will have basic combat capabilities. Chapter 935 Black Shop. Ding ding ding. Someone knocked on the door. It should be Xing. Xia Xingchen walked over and opened the door, but found that it was not Xing standing at the door, but a young mercenary in leather armor. Who are you? Xia Xingchen frowned slightly. He was very vigilant and didn't want to deal with strangers. Master Xing, I haven't seen you for just a few days. You didn't recognize me so soon. The young mercenary smiled, but spoke in a charming female voice. Xia Xingchen was slightly startled and recognized that it was Li Huamo's voice. I'm a woman, and my identity is inconvenient. When I go to crowded places, I have to use a camouflage device to hide, otherwise there will be too much trouble. Li Huamo explained. Xing has something to do and can't come for the time being. This time, let me be Master Xing's tour guide. There was a hint of winning over when Li Huamo spoke. Xia Xingchen was not a fool. Li Huamo obviously wanted to win over her. It seemed that she thought Xing was not doing his job well and progressing too slowly, so she lowered her status and tried to win him over herself. Bloody Mary was a somewhat respectable star pirate on the Black Tower star. Since she was willing to lower her status to be her tour guide, Xia Xingchen would naturally not be ungrateful and nodded slightly. Then I'll trouble you, Captain. Master R Crossing, you're welcome. Just call me Huami, or Sister Huami. Li Huamo's attitude was humble and well behaved. Her words were full of elegance and grace, as if she was a lady from a noble family. She was completely different from the coquettish and charming female star pirate before. Thank you, Sister Huami. Xia Xingchen smiled faintly, without saying much, walked out of the presidential suite, entered the elevator, and went to the 60th floor of the Black Tower. From the 60th floor to the 90th floor, there were shops selling mecha parts and star skeleton beast armor materials. Xia Xingchen and Li Huami didn't know that. As soon as they entered the elevator, two men walked out of the shadows at the corner. One of the men was Cassie from the Deep Sea Demon Star Pirate Group. The other man, with a metal prosthesis on his right foot, was the third officer of the Deep Sea Demon, and his name was Jeffrey. Cassie, that young man, is he the mecha repairman you mentioned? He's too young. Jeffrey looked at Xia Xingchen's back and whispered, that's him. The other man who used the camouflage device was actually Bloody Mary's leader Li Huami. You just saw how respectful Li Huami was to that young man. Cassie said hurriedly. Finally found him. We'll notify the leader immediately. This time, we won't let this kid escape. Jeffrey's face showed a touch of ecstasy. The Black Tower is always bustling. Especially on the floors above the 60th floor. You can see pirates and mercenaries licking blood on the edge of the knife all day long. They gather in groups and discuss unscrupulously where on the Black Tower star the starry skyrim is the strongest, where the women are the most delicious, which planet has the most oil and water, and which mecha shop has the best quality and cheap mecha. Xia Xingchen and Li Huami walked among these pirates without attracting any attention. There are many shops on both sides of the passage, where you can order and repair mechas, and sell all kinds of mecha parts, components, and weapons. The mecha shops in the Black Tower are very popular. There are basically pirates buying goods in the shops, talking and bargaining. Xia Xingchen looked at these shops with interest, but he did not stop and kept walking forward. The mecha products in these small shops are all low-end and low-quality products, which are not in Xia Xingchen's eyes. It was not until he came to a large store with a spacious area that Xia Xingchen stopped and thought for a moment, and then he was ready to walk into the mecha shop called Heart of Black Iron. Li Huami frowned slightly and quietly pulled Xia Xingchen's clothes. "What's wrong?" Xia Xingchen saw that Li Huami looked unhappy and turned around and asked. The owner of this Heart of Black Iron is a mecha repairman named Gory. He is also a famous profiteer and miser on the Black Tower Star, nicknamed Blackheart Gory. And there are rumors that Gory has close ties with several notorious star pirate groups. In short, this store is very shady. You should be more careful and don't be cheated, Li Huami said. Thanks for the reminder. Xia Xingchen smiled slightly and walked into the Heart of Black Iron mecha store. The floor in the store was dirty and covered with black oil stains. There was only one chandelier on the ceiling, with thick spider webs hanging on it. The light was extremely dim, and there was no customer inside. Two hideous looking clerks were chatting lazily behind the counter. They didn't greet Xia Xingchen and Li Huami when they came in. It's a miracle that the business hasn't collapsed with such a business. Xia Xingchen shook his head secretly. His eyes swept over the things on the counter, but he shook his head with some disappointment. Li Huami was right. This shop was indeed a black shop. The things inside were basically low quality counterfeits, and the prices were ridiculously high, specifically designed to cheat customers who didn't know the goods. Just as Xia Xingchen was about to turn around and leave, his eyes suddenly stopped on something. In the corner of the shop, there was a piece of dark green wood with a diameter of 3 meters and a length of 12 meters. Xia Xingchen licked his lips, pretending to be looking at it casually, walked to the side of the wood, and looked down. Sure enough, I'm not mistaken. This is the Azure Dragon Divine Wood. Xia Xingchen's body trembled slightly. If he was not mistaken, this was a piece of Azure Dragon Divine Wood. And the length, thickness were just right, meeting Xia Xingchen's minimum standard for making the Azure Dragon mecha skeleton. The most important thing was that this piece of Azure Dragon Divine Wood was thrown aside like garbage. Obviously, no one in this store could recognize that it was a piece of Azure Dragon Divine Wood and thought it was Azure Dragon Wood. Xia Xingchen remained calm and waved to a clerk. The clerk lazily stood up and walked over reluctantly. He glanced at Xia Xingchen, who was in his early 20s and dressed in ordinary clothes. He looked down at the item he wanted and found that it was just a piece of Kinglan wood. He immediately curled his lips impatiently. This piece of Kinglan wood is thicker than ordinary Kinglan wood. It is the best Kinglan wood. 4,000 star crystals. Take it if you want it. Xia Xingchen didn't care about the clerk's arrogant attitude and couldn't help but sneer in his heart. After the capture of the AO People's Planet, Kinglan wood was not a rare thing. Moreover, the function of Kinglan wood was to make mental force sensing devices. No matter how thick and long the Kinglan wood was, the price was no different from that of ordinary Kinglan wood. This piece of Kinglan wood could only be sold for 2,000 star crystals in other stores. This Heart of Black Iron was too shabby. It doubled the price and deliberately ripped off customers. It was a pity that these clerks had no eyesight and could not recognize that this was a piece of Kinglan sacred wood. Selling such a treasure as ordinary Kinglan wood. Chapter 936. Big discount. The real price of this piece of Azure Dragon wood is worth more than 4,000 star crystals, even if it is 400,000 star crystals. What's more, Xia Xingchen urgently needs Azure Dragon wood to make the skeleton of Azure Dragon mecha. Before, Xia Xingchen searched through his personal terminal but got nothing. Unexpectedly, he just visited a few shops and was lucky enough to encounter this rare Azure Dragon wood. My luck has always been good. Xia Xingchen was secretly ecstatic, but his extraordinary concentration made him look normal. He pondered and said, 4,000 star crystals. It's a bit expensive to buy such a piece of Azure Dragon wood. But I bought it. In order to avoid any more changes, Xia Xingchen did not hesitate and immediately took out 4,000 star crystals to buy this piece of Azure Dragon wood. The two shop assistants were stunned, looking at Xia Xingchen with a fool's eyes, and they were very happy. They quickly accepted the 4,000 star crystals and were willing to deliver the Azure Dragon wood to Xia Xingchen's residence for free. They didn't know that in Xia Xingchen's heart they were complete fools. "Sir, is there anything else you need?" The clerk made a big deal, and the arrogance on his face was swept away, replaced by a flattering smile. "How much is the new Godson V engine?" Xia Xingchen asked casually. 50,000 star crystals." The clerk's tone obviously paused and quoted an extremely outrageous high price. Xia Xingchen laughed immediately. It seemed that these two people really took him as a sucker. "Too expensive. I'll go somewhere else." Xia Xingchen waved his hand and prepared to leave. In the manager's office of the Black Iron Heart, Blackheart Gory was watching everything happening in the store through the monitoring device. Behind Gory stood Jeffrey, the third mate of the deep sea demon, and Cassie. "Is this the guy?" Gory was a fat man in his 40s, with sparse hair and a pair of small eyes flashing with shrewdness. He pointed his finger at Xia Xingchen on the screen with a look of contempt. "He is the mecha repairman. Just relying on his eyesight. He actually spent 4,000 star crystals to buy a worthless piece of Kinglan wood. This is the first time I have seen such a stupid person." "Did you recognize the wrong person?" "Manager Gory, it's him. The person that Captain Mosley specifically asked for," Jeffrey whispered. Hearing Morris' name, Gory shuddered. "What does the captain mean?" "The guards in the Black Tower are too strict. We have no way to do it." The captain said, "Let you do everything you can to trick this kid out. When the time comes, we will make our own arrangements." Jeffrey showed a cruel smile on his face. "Since Captain Morris said so, I will think of a way." Gory stood up helplessly and walked towards the store. The business of this store, Heart of Black Iron, is extremely bleak. The reason why it can survive until now is not because of the mecha business, but because Gory has partnered with several notorious star pirate groups to wrestle contraband that even star pirates despise. The Deep Sea Demon Star Pirate Group is one of Gory's main customers. Moreover, Gory knows very well that the Deep Sea Demon Morris is an extremely terrifying person. For Morris, Gory is not only unable to offend him, but also deeply afraid of him. "My guest, please stay." When Gory came out, he saw Xia Xingchen had already walked to the door, and he hurriedly walked up with a smile on his face, stopped Xia Xingchen, and introduced, "I'm Gory, the boss of Heart of Black Iron. Are you dissatisfied with our store?" Xia Xingchen looked Gory up and down, and a friend suddenly appeared in his mind, his classmate Grandad. Gory, like Grandad, has a fat face and small eyes, a slick smile, and looks like a miser and a profiteer. The difference is that Grandad is very loyal to his friends and never stingy. For other people, Grandad will just cheat you without negotiation. Xia Xingchen also learned a lot of business from Grandad. "I want to buy a Lungson V nuclear fusion engine, but your clerk quoted a high price of 50,000 star crystals, which is too expensive," Xia Xingchen said. "Haha, they are all new here, don't understand the market, and neglect the guests. This guest, how much are you willing to pay?" Gory turned around and glared at the two clerks, and then smiled again. 10,000 star crystals. Xia Xingchen didn't want to entangle with Gory, so he casually quoted a ridiculously low price. 10,000 star crystals. Even if it's a big discount, it's okay. Gory hesitated for a while, and actually agreed. "Boss, you." The two clerks were stunned, with a look of surprise on their faces. You know, Gory's nickname is Blackheart, and he is a complete profiteer. In addition, he has several similar nicknames, such as plucking feathers from a passing goose and stingy man. It is normal for the profit of things that have passed through Gory's hands to double or triple, and it is not impossible to double it by 10 or 8 times. Let Gory do a loss-making business and offer big discounts? Is this the sun rising from the west? Xia Xingchen looked at Gory and felt strange. Although he didn't know what Gory wanted to do, he understood the principle that there must be something wrong when things are abnormal, and he felt a sense of uneasiness in his heart. Forget it. Xia Xingchen wanted to refuse. A Lungson V engine only sells for 10,000 star crystals. Why forget it? If you don't buy it, I will. Li Huamui was tempted by such a low price and interrupted. It is indeed cheap. But, Xia Xingchen still felt uneasy. No buts. This is Black Tower Star. Don't forget my identity. After all, I'm the leader of a 2-star pirate group. If he dares to deceive me and pass off inferior goods as good ones, be careful that I will tear down his store. Li Huamui said rather domineeringly. Okay then. Xia Xingchen had to nod. The Dragon Core V engine was worth 30,000 star crystals, but Gory only sold it for 10,000 star crystals. Gory had never done such a loss-making business in his life, and he felt his heart bleeding. He looked at Xia Xingchen with a pair of vicious eyes, muttering in his heart, "Now I'll make you happy. Wait, you have to spit out everything you eat." "I don't know, guest. Is there anything else you want? For example, parts of the star skeleton beast armor? I, Gory, am also a well-known mecha repairman in the Black Tower. Moreover, I know how to make the best-selling star-devouring armor." Gory smiled flatteringly. "You can make star-devouring armor?" Xia Xingchen was slightly stunned. "Of course. I see that you are quite knowledgeable about mechas. If you are interested, you can visit my mecha workshop and we can discuss and exchange mecha repair techniques." Gory's words were very modest. The mecha workshop is the most secret and important place for a mecha repairman. Under normal circumstances, strangers will not be allowed to visit. Xia Xingchen knew that Gory was so attentive, there must be something wrong. However, the temptation of the star-devouring armor was too great. Xia Xingchen simply could not refuse. "Visit the mecha workshop. Go. I haven't seen what a mecha workshop looks like yet. Don't worry, I'll take care of everything." Li Huamo's eyes also became eager, and she encouraged him. Xia Xingchen thought about it, and felt that with Li Huamo, there should be no danger, so he nodded and agreed to Gory's invitation. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 937 Trap. Gory's mecha workshop is located in a remote valley southwest of the Black Tower. It is not far from the airport. The front of the workshop is overgrown with weeds, mecha parts are discarded everywhere, and the ground is full of oil. It looks very dilapidated. Obviously, Gory's mind is not on mecha maintenance and manufacturing at all. The workshop has been abandoned for a long time. Li Huamo was full of curiosity about the mecha workshop, but she was disappointed when she saw such a dilapidated place. "Haha, I've been busy recently and have no time to take care of it." Gory laughed dryly, walked through the weed-covered courtyard, and opened the door of the workshop. Xia Xingchen walked into the workshop and found that it was not bad, although it was not comparable to the mecha workshops of Lingjuxing and Tang Dynasty Group. However, the equipment and tools are all available, including a lot of metal putty and catalysts used in the production of mecha parts. Gory directed to shop assistants to unload the Kinglan Wood and Langshan V engine that Xia Xingchen bought for 14,000 star crystals from a cargo suspension vehicle and put them in the workshop. HMPH, you kid, you thought you got a bargain. But you didn't know that you spent money in vain, and the things are mine in the end. Gory secretly glanced at Xia Xingchen who was walking around the workshop, and thought to himself, "Boss Gory, where is the star-devouring armor?" Seeing Gory finished his work and returned to the workshop, Xia Xingchen immediately asked. He was only interested in the star-devouring armor. "You really don't consider yourself an outsider?" Gory resisted the urge to curse in his heart, took out the key to open the safe, took out a piece of turquoise armor less than 1 square meter in size, and put it on the table. "This is the star-devouring armor." Star-devouring armor. Xia Xingchen subconsciously stretched out his hand. Snap. Gory tricked Xia Xingchen into his workshop, and he didn't have to disguise himself anymore. He was stingy, and couldn't help but explode. He opened Xia Xingchen's hand and said, "It's good enough to let you take a look. Don't touch it. You don't know anything. If you break it, can you afford to pay for it?" Xia Xingchen saw Gory tear off his disguise and reveal his true colors. He was completely different from before, and his face suddenly became gloomy. "Only look, no touch. I have something to do, so I'll be out for a while. I'll be back soon." Gory made up an excuse and left the workshop. He went outside and met more than 30 pirates from the deep sea demon pirates who had been lying in ambush. These pirates were all transformed, with parts of their bodies transformed into killing weapons. They had hideous faces, and their mechanical fake eyes flashed red, staring at Gory. Gory felt cold in his heart and walked quickly to Morris, lowering his head and said, "Captain, I've done what you arranged. The 2 people you want are in my workshop." "Okay. Gory, you did a good job." Morris raised his right hand, and the part that was originally his palm was a sword with a cold glow. He grinned and said, "We can definitely sell these 2 people for a good price if we catch them. Brothers, act according to the plan. Captain, be careful later. Don't break things in the workshop. They are very expensive," Gory said in a low voice. "Haha, Gory, you stingy guy. We will try to be careful." The pirates laughed and rushed to the workshop behind Morris, surrounding the workshop. In the mecha workshop, Xia Xingchen was staring at the devouring star armor in a trance. When he heard the noisy footsteps in the yard, he became alert and looked out the window. "Oh no. It's the pirates of the deep sea demon group. I'm being followed by them." Li Huamui saw that the leading pirate was Morris, and her heart sank to the bottom of the valley. In Blackbeard's territory, the deep sea demon dared to kidnap and rob. Xia Xingchen frowned slightly. "I didn't expect that they would dare to be so bold." Li Huamui's face sank. "This is my fault. I'll go out and negotiate with them." Without waiting for Xia Xingchen to stop her, Li Huamui took off her disguise, revealing her exquisite and proud seductive figure, walked out of the workshop, stood in front of Morris, and faced more than 30 brutal pirates. "Bloody Mary. TSK, she is indeed a beauty. This woman is beautiful and fierce. She will definitely sell for a good price. But before selling, we have to let the brothers have fun first. Her appearance and figure are even hotter than the most popular top girl on the Black Tower Star." Seeing Li Huamui coming out, the star pirates immediately whistled, and dirty words came out one after another, and the words were as obscene as they could be. As a star pirate, Li Huamui blushed when she heard such obscene words. She looked at Mosley with her beautiful eyes and asked, "Morris, we have always kept to ourselves. What do you want to do?" Morris smiled coldly, and his electronic eyes flashing red light swept over Li Huamui's proud figure. The infrared perspective function in his eyes had seen her clearly, which made his heart burn with fire. He licked his lips and said, "What do I want to do? I want to fuck you." Mosley's obscene words immediately caused the star pirates to laugh wildly. "Morris, you dare to take action on Black Tower Star? Don't you take Blackbeard seriously?" Li Huamui suppressed her anger and shouted loudly. "As for Blackbeard, of course I respect him. But how could he notice this little mountain corner when he is so busy? Bloody Mary, you should blame it. You should blame yourself for being too stupid. Also, that guy is a coward. He actually hid in the house and dared not come out, leaving you, a woman, to show up." Mosley sneered. "So, are you sure you can eat me, Bloody Mary?" Li Huamui's heart was like falling into the abyss of stars. "That's right. I will definitely eat you. Eat you alive." Morris laughed loudly and was not in a hurry to take action. Anyway, Li Huamui and Xia Xingchen were already in his pocket, so he was not in a hurry at all, and he teased with words to his heart's content, looking for some fun. Li Huamui was ashamed and angry, but she was helpless in the face of Mosley's hooliganism. In the mecha workshop, Xia Xingchen sneered, "The pirates are really reckless. It seems that I have to be more careful in the future and not have any fluke mentality. But you, a small 3-star pirate group, want to catch me. It's too naive. With Xia Xingchen and Li Huamui's skills, it is undoubtedly a foolish dream to escape from the hands of more than 30 pirates. However, this is a mecha workshop. Moreover, Xia Xingchen has the Azure Dragon Divine Word and the Dragon Core V engine. He can't escape by himself, but he can definitely escape by driving a mecha. Even without any weapons and external armor, the simplest mecha skeleton can easily crush these pirates. The human body is too weak. Even the pirates who have undergone limb modification are like ants in front of Mechas." Xia Xingchen laid out the star mark in the workshop without any hurry and contacted Xia, then sent the blueprints of the Azure Dragon Mecha, the Azure Dragon Sacred Tree, the Dragon Core V engine, and some necessary metals and catalysts to the celestial spacecraft Star Domain Arc. Xia fed back information that it would take 3 minutes to use these materials to make the basic skeleton of the Azure Dragon Mecha. Haha, if you are unkind, don't blame me for being unjust. Since being treacherous and cunning is the nature of interstellar pirates, then I will be more treacherous and cunning than you. Xia Xingchen smiled, and in 3 minutes, he looted the entire mecha workshop and put all the valuable things into his portable space. Chapter 938, Borrowing a Knife to Kill. While Xia Xingchen was making the Azure Dragon mecha in the workshop, the pirates could no longer bear it and rushed over to capture Li Huamui. Li Huamui was known as Bloody Mary, and she was notorious for her viciousness. She was naturally not a pushover. 4 pirates rushed over, but were all forced back by her punches and kicks. For a while, no one could get close to her. Stinky bitch. Just as Li Huamui was punching and fighting, she was suddenly slapped in the face, which made her dizzy. The corner of her mouth was broken, and a line of blood flowed out. She almost fainted. Morris finally couldn't help but take action. Swish. Morris didn't know how to be gentle with women at all. Not only did he slap Li Huamui hard, but her pretty face suddenly became red and swollen. He stretched out his big hand, pinched her slender neck, and lifted her up high. Li Huamui's neck was stuck, and she couldn't breathe. Her face turned red. Her feet kicked randomly below, hitting Morris' chest again and again, making a dull sound. Morris didn't care at all. A vicious smile appeared on his ferocious face, which was half human and half mechanical. Struggle. Struggle hard. No one will come to save you. The more you struggle, the more excited I am. Morris laughed loudly, and his face also showed a strange red because of excitement. Ha ha ha. Captain Morris, that's it. I like to torture others. Especially to torture women. It's so bad. The pirates laughed unscrupulously. Cassie, Jeffrey, you two go to the workshop and catch that coward. Morris held Li Huamui in one hand and pointed at the workshop with the other hand and said to the 2 pirates, "Okay, boss." Cassie and Jeffrey knew that this was an opportunity for Morris to give them 2 merits. They followed Li Huamui all the way, and they had no merits, but they had worked hard. However, just when Cassie and Jeffrey had just walked to the door of the workshop, a green dragon-shaped giant claw suddenly popped out and stepped on them to the ground, and their bodies instantly turned into meat paste. Boom. A huge dragon shadow broke through the wall of the workshop and walked out through the diffuse smoke. With every step, the earth was shaking, as if an ancient beast was walking slowly out of its lair. The whole world suddenly became quiet. What's going on? What is it? The star pirates present all stared with wide eyes, staring at this scene in amazement, and everyone's face was full of unbelievable expressions. It was a dark green dragon-shaped mecha with a height of nearly 13 meters. The palms and soles of this mecha are not human palms, but huge dragon claws. The body is covered with dense dark green scales. The head is a cockpit in the shape of a dragon head, exposed outside, and you can even see Xia Xingchen driving the mecha. This is a huge semi-finished mecha. It can't even be called a mecha, just a mecha skeleton. But, it's enough. The Azure Dragon mecha waved its claws and rolled up a sharp tornado. Boom. Morris was hit right on the head and flew backwards. During the flight, all the muscles in his body were crushed by the huge force, and his flesh and blood were blurred. Bang. Mosley fell heavily to the ground like a discarded sack, motionless, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. The Azure Dragon mecha stretched out its hand and caught Li Huamui, who was thrown in the air by Morris, and put her into the cockpit. Li Huamui was still in shock, with cold sweat on her forehead. She looked at Xia Xingchen in surprise. This mecha, where did it come from? Now is not the time to talk about this. Xia Xingchen controlled the Azure Dragon mecha, strode forward, and trampled on the star pirates wantonly. The star pirates who were just showing off their power were as weak as ants in front of the Azure Dragon mecha. 2 star pirates had their bodies modified, and their right arms were laser cannons. They ran to a distance and secretly fired at the Azure Dragon mecha. As a result, just as the energy in the barrel was condensed, and before they could fire, 2 silver-white spiral drills fell from the sky, piercing them and nailing them to the ground. Gory. You bastard. There is actually a semi-finished mecha in the workshop. If we had known there was a mecha, we would have brought heavy weapons. The pirates fled in all directions, cursing fiercely. It's unfair. There is nothing in my workshop. God knows how mecha suddenly appeared. Gory's face had already changed, and he cried out loudly. Gory also couldn't figure out why a strange mecha skeleton suddenly appeared in the workshop, completely disrupting Morris's plan. Xia Xingchen drove the King Long mecha to rush among the pirates for a while, driving them away, and testing the performance of the King Long mecha. By the way, although it is just a skeleton, the specific performance parameters cannot be seen, but the overall performance will definitely not be lower than the Xianheng mecha. It's just that this mecha consumes too much energy. Xia Xingchen looked at the energy meter, which was actually below 30%. Xia Xingchen has always been a vengeful person. If no one offends me, I will not offend anyone. If someone offends me, I will destroy their entire family. He originally wanted to take this opportunity to wipe out the deep sea demon star pirates that had repeatedly troubled him. However, the energy of the King Long mecha was depleted too quickly, and time did not allow him to do so. You are lucky. I will not be so lucky if I meet you again next time. Xia Xingchen snorted coldly, controlled the King Long mecha, and knocked down Gory's workshop, turning it into a ruin. In the astonished eyes of a group of star pirates, he strode away. What should we do? The remaining star pirates were dumbfounded when they saw the blood and limbs of their companions on the ground. Arsehole. At this time, Morris, who was covered in blood, staggered to his feet, wiped the blood off his face, and his eyes were full of viciousness. If Morris was an ordinary person, he would have been dead with the previous blow. However, Morris is not an ordinary person. More than 70% of his body is steel machinery. He is a modified person with extremely strong vitality. Captain, what should we do? That kid ran away in a mecha. The pirates were all terrified, looking frightened. I will not be a human being until I avenge this. Inform Blackbird immediately. Someone violated his ban and drove Mecha into the Black Tower. Morris's heart was extremely vicious. Great. Kill with a borrowed knife. Use Blackbird's hand to kill this kid. The captain is the captain. His IQ is much higher than ours. When the pirates heard this, they also showed vicious smiles on their faces. Xia Xingchen was driving the King Long mecha. Before he arrived at the port, the entire Black Tower was filled with shrill alarms. Hundreds of star skeleton beast armors flew into the air from the direction of the Black Tower and rushed towards Xia Xingchen. Chapter 939 A huge reward. It's the Star Pirate Law Enforcement Team of Black Tower Star. Morris actually cried thief and notified Blackbird first. Li Huamei looked up and saw a group of mechas like dark clouds in the sky, with tail flames of various colors spraying out from behind, rushing over to cover the sky, and her pretty face turned pale. Although it's just a mecha skeleton. But after all, we violated Blackbird's ban. On Black Tower Star, murder, arson, and kidnapping are all fine. Only driving a mecha is a taboo for Blackbird. Xia Xingchen smiled bitterly. Without rules, there will be no order. The Star Pirates pursue freedom, advocate chaos, and have rules that they have to abide by. These rules may be unreasonable, but rules are rules. In order to rescue Li Huamei and break through the siege, Xia Xingchen had no choice but to break Blackbird's rules. He had long been prepared to bear Blackbird's anger. Escape. Before the law enforcement team arrives. Let's escape to the airport and take my merry pirate ship to escape. Blackbird's ban is only effective within the Black Tower Star. As long as we escape the planet, Blackbird will not go to great lengths to hunt us down. He values his own face more. Li Huamei pointed to the direction of the airport and said to Xia Xingchen. Through the communicator, he notified the first mate Teachin to immediately refuel the Mary and be ready to set sail at any time. Okay. Xia Xingchen said nothing more and stepped on the kinetic pedal to the bottom. Since the King Long mecha has not yet been installed with thrusters, it cannot fly in the air. It can only take big steps and run towards the direction of the airport. Boom, boom, boom. The ground shook violently, and countless pirates rushed out of the shacks and came to the streets. Their faces were full of surprise. They looked up at the tall figure of the King Long mecha, turned into a green shadow, and rushed into the airport. The speed was too fast. The speed of the King Long mecha running on foot was much faster than the mecha group of the law enforcement team, which was flying at full speed with thrusters. The guards at the airport gate received the news and had just set up roadblocks to intercept the King Long mecha, but the roadblocks were directly knocked away, as if entering an empty space. Under the guidance of Li Huami, Xia Xingchen ran to the Mary Star pirate ship. Tixing stood at the entrance with an anxious look on his face. When he saw the Qinglang mecha coming, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he quickly opened the cargo door. The Qinglang mecha ducked and rushed into the spaceship. After the hatch was closed, it immediately ignited and launched, flying into the sky. The Mary Star pirate ship was converted from a civilian cargo ship. It was pointed at both ends and wide in the middle. It was a cigar shape with a total length of 700 meters, between a small starship and a medium-sized starship. The propulsion engine used was a Star Traveler military engine of the Tang Dynasty group. It was powerful and its speed was the best among civilian spacecraft. The tail of the Mary ejected a brilliant tail flame and rushed straight into the sky, leaving the Star Pirate law enforcement team far behind. In the cockpit of the mecha, the pirates cursed and contacted the Mary through the communicator, using extremely vicious language to threaten the spacecraft to stop. However, the Mary turned a deaf ear to the pirates' threats, turned on the engine power to the maximum, broke through the atmosphere in a blink of an eye, flew into the universe, and started the jump engine, entered the subspace, and carried out curvature navigation. Even if Blackbird drove his flagship over, he could not catch up with the Mary. The pirates could only watch the Mary disappear without a trace, but they were helpless, and could only return dejectedly. Chaos Star region, Emperor Star. In a huge and majestic palace, a man wearing a luxurious black robe, fat, and 2 thick black beards, was sitting at a golden dining table, holding a knife and fork, eating ribs. His eating movements were very rude, with blood and meat on his beard, without any aristocratic temperament. He is Blackbird, one of the 7-star pirate overlords in the Chaos Star domain, a legendary mecha master. Blackbird's appetite is as famous as his tyranny. After swallowing 7 huge rib dragon steaks in a row, Blackbird burped rudely, his face still gloomy. In front of the palace, there were more than a dozen people kneeling, all of whom were Blackbird's men. 4 of whom were S-class mecha masters. However, they all lowered their heads, dared not breathe, and waited quietly. The feeling of fullness did not make Blackbird feel better. In fact, he would only eat so much when he was in a very bad mood. "Captain, I don't know what you want us to do," an S-class mecha master named K asked boldly. He is the person Blackbird trusts most, the captain of the first team. Blackbird burped again and said coldly, "Someone violated my ban and drove mecha into the Black Tower Star." The dozen people kneeling were stunned. They all knew that Blackbird was moody. However, he is now the Star Pirate Overlord, governing thousands of planets. He would not summon all of them for such a small matter. "Captain, just leave this small matter to me," K said in a low voice. "Small matter?" Blackbird snorted coldly. "The god of war lost to Green Sorrow, and I lost the better Jackdaw. I lost a few planets and lost face. Is this a small matter?" "This, of course it is a big matter." K's forehead was covered with cold sweat, and he dared not breathe. However, he did not understand what the connection between the two things was. The reason why the god of war lost to Green Sorrow is because Jackdaw bought a strange longbow. I have investigated that the one who sold this longbow to Jackdaw was the kid who drove the mecha and violated my ban. I, Blackbird, have been roaming the Starsea for decades, and no one has dared to trample on my dignity like this. Blackbird's face was gloomy, and he also exuded a sinister and tyrannical aura. The kneeling captains did not dare to say anything. In Blackbird's territory, he is the emperor. Absolutely what he says. According to the intelligence, that guy is probably a senior mecha maintenance technician. He actually dared to befriend Jackdaw and go against me. Humph, I absolutely cannot let Jackdaw's power expand. I want him dead. Blackbird said in a low voice, and his voice suddenly became cold and stern. Pass on my Blackbird's order. A bounty is offered to capture the Bloody Mary pirates. As long as they are in the starfield controlled by me, Blackbird, we must find them, even if we have to dig 3 feet into the ground. Whoever completes this task, I, Blackbird, will reward him handsomely. Yes. The dozen captains in front of the palace responded immediately. Okay. Go and spread the news. Blackbird sat back at the dining table with his hands behind his back, picked up his knife and fork, and continued to eat heartily. Blackbird's bounty order quickly spread throughout the entire Chaos Starfield through the pirate network. The Chaos Starfield was boiling. Chapter 940, Life and Death. As soon as Blackbeard's bounty order was issued, the pirates in the entire chaotic starfield fell into a frenzy. Not only those 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star pirate groups, but even the 4-star and 5-star pirate groups were ready to move, searching for the traces of the Bloody Mary pirate group in the starfield near them. Blackbeard's bounty was too tempting. On the Black Tower star, Morris was recovering from his injuries. After learning that Blackbeard offered a large reward for the Bloody Mary pirates, he was stunned at first, and then his ferocious face was filled with ecstasy. Great. This is really good news. Morris laughed wildly, although I don't know why Blackbeard is so angry. But being able to kill Bloody Mary and his gang, and at the same time getting Blackbeard's bounty, it's really a good thing to kill two birds with one stone. Morris, despite his injuries not being healed yet, led the remaining members of the Deep Sea Demon Star Pirates and boarded the Star Pirate ship. Like most of the Star Pirates who left the Black Tower Star to find the traces of the Bloody Mary Star Pirates, they flew to the depths of the Chaos Star region. Swish. In the Chaos Star region, near an unknown nebula, a dazzling white light flashed. The Mary Star Pirate ship flew out of the subspace and appeared out of thin air. The Star Pirate ship immediately searched for the network signal of the nearby planet and learned about Blackbeard's bounty order. Inside the Star Pirate ship, in the conference room, the atmosphere was extremely dull. Li Huamui was wearing a big red cloak, her face was gloomy, and she sat in silence. Xia kept smoking, and the cigarette butts filled the ashtray in front of him. In addition to them, the Bloody Mary pirates had 20 more pirates, 12 of whom were mecha masters, and the remaining 8 were spacecraft pilots. These pirates were silent, turning their heads and looking at Xia Xingchen, who was standing against the wall behind them, with resentment in their eyes. Captain, why would Blackbeard offer a bounty for us? What did we do wrong? A pirate named Doma couldn't help but complain loudly. I don't know. Li Huamui shook her head, her eyebrows slightly frowned. Blackbeard was moody, and she couldn't understand it. She just drove Mecha into the Black Tower Star. Why would Blackbeard be so angry? What should we do now? Blackbeard's power is so terrible. As soon as he speaks, the pirates in the entire chaotic starfield are looking for us. If we are found, we will definitely die. Oma waved his hand and looked at Xia Xingchen. Otherwise, let's surrender. Blackbeard may not be looking for us. Oma's words broke the last layer of window paper, and all the pirates turned their heads and looked at Xia Xingchen. Xia Xingchen shrugged his shoulders and walked forward to the table. This is a good choice. I caused this matter. I have the responsibility to handle this matter. You just put me at the port of the next planet. Then, I wish you good luck. Xia Xingchen was also caught off guard by Blackbeard's overreaction. The first thing he thought of was that his identity had been discovered. Blackbeard wanted to capture him and hand him over to Kinyan in exchange for a bounty. But after thinking about it carefully, Xia Xingchen felt that it was unlikely. If Blackbeard really knew his identity, he would not have made such a big fuss and alerted the enemy. Instead, he would have been cautious and quietly set up an ambush to capture him. As for Blackbeard's strong reaction, there may be other reasons. Xia Xingchen is confident that he can deal with Blackbeard with his own abilities. At least, he now has the Kinglang Mecha. Hearing that Xia Xingchen decided to take the matter on his own, the pirates were relieved. Shut up. Li Huamui, who had been silent all the time, suddenly spoke in a cold voice. You don't understand Blackbeard. But I do. Surrender? Do you think surrender can solve the problem? With Blackbeard's personality, even if we surrender, even if he is not looking for us, we will have only one ending, death. Blackbeard is the most notorious pirate in the galaxy. Do you think he will suddenly show mercy and let us go? Stop joking. Captain, we have to think of a way. Xia put out the cigarette butt and said in a deep voice. Solution. Li Huamui paused, with a firm look in her eyes. Xia Xingchen violated Blackbeard's taboo, driving a mecha on the Black Tower Star. This matter cannot be blamed on him. It can only be blamed on me. If I hadn't been obsessed with money at the time and was deceived by Gory to his workshop, what happened later would not have happened. This responsibility is on me. I will take care of this matter. At the next planet port, if any of you want to get off the ship, I will have no complaints. Blackbeard wants the members of the Bloody Mary pirates. As long as you get off the ship, you will no longer be my crew. He shouldn't cause trouble for you, Captain." The pirates were stunned for a moment, looking at Li Huamui in surprise. "Don't say any more. I have made up my mind. Whoever of you is ready to get off the ship, stay here. Those who don't get off the ship, come out of the room with me." Li Huamui stood up, waved his hand, his cloak fluttered, and walked out of the room first. In the room, the pirates stared at each other with a difficult look on their faces. "Hey." Tai Xiang sighed, stood up, and said loudly, "My life was given by Big Sister. I can't leave her at this time. So, brothers, I'm sorry. If any of you want to leave, I, Tai Xiang, will never blame you. If we meet again, we will still be brothers." Tai Xiang stood up and strode out the door. "Damn it. We pirates live a life of licking blood on the edge of a knife. Isn't it just Blackbeard? Who is he?" "I stand with Big Sister and Brother Tai Xiang." A pirate stood up and walked out the door. 3 pirates who had a good relationship with Tai Xiang hesitated for a while, then stood up and walked out the door. When the other pirates saw the decision of their companions, they felt proud and stood up and walked out the door. In the corridor, Li Huamui saw that all of her star pirates followed her out. No one was willing to be a coward and abandon her at this time. She was extremely relieved, and tears flashed in her beautiful eyes. "Brothers. Thank you. Thank you so much. Big Sister. Don't say that. We all remember how you treat the brothers. We stand with you, live and die together." The star pirates also shouted with tears in their eyes. At this time, the door of the conference room opened, and Xia Xingchen walked out with a smile on her face. "Big Sister, does our previous agreement still count?" Xia Xingchen asked with a smile. "What agreement?" Li Huamui was stunned. "The agreement of 200 star crystals a month." Xia Xingchen blinked. "What do you mean?" Li Huamui looked at Xia Xingchen in surprise, paused, and said, "Of course it counts. Okay." Xia Xingchen smiled and said heroically, "Then from today on, I'm the mecha maintenance engineer of the Bloody Mary Star Pirates. We are all brothers. Live and die together." Chapter 941 Escape Route. Xia Xingchen temporarily joined Li Huamui's Star Pirates. Xia Xingchen has always had a prejudice against Star Pirates. Although he knew that Li Huamui's Star Pirates was different from other Star Pirates and was more like a mercenary group, Xia Xingchen still didn't want to join. However, although Li Huamui said it was her responsibility, in Xia Xingchen's opinion, he was the one who caused the trouble. Xia Xingchen has always been a man who dares to act and take responsibility. At the critical moment of the survival of the Bloody Mary Star Pirates, Xia Xingchen couldn't do the dirty thing of escaping alone. "Great. Xingchen, you are really willing to join my Star Pirates." Li Huamui was delighted and walked up to hold Xia Xingchen's hand tightly. For the time being, Xia Xingchen smiled and said, "Now should we discuss where to escape to?" "Yes." Li Huamui put away her joy and turned back to the meeting room. She knew Xia Xingchen's ability very well. It was a rare opportunity for a master to join her own Star Pirates. Li Huamui even thought that if Xia Xingchen joined his Star Pirate group, then it would be worth it to be hunted down by Blackbeard. Swish. On the table in the conference room, a 3-dimensional star map of the Chaos Star Domain appeared. The planets in the Chaos Star Domain are scattered and dense, like a pile of loose sand. Li Huamui pressed a few buttons and marked Blackbeard's territory in red. Blackbeard's territory occupies the southeast corner of the Chaos Star Domain, with thousands of planets. The Mary is at least 3 months away from the border of Blackbeard's forces. Moreover, even if they escaped from Blackbeard's sphere of influence, they might not be safe. After all, there are too many Star Pirates who are on good terms with Blackbeard. How to find a safe escape route in such a chaotic and scattered star domain? The Star Pirates all frowned and pondered. "Big Sister, Blackbeard has issued a bounty, and the pursuers are right behind us. I think we should make continuous jumps and leave Blackbeard's sphere of influence in the shortest time. This is the most dangerous area." The second mate of the Star Pirates, Stan, stood up and expressed his opinion. He was in his 30s, still very young, and was the navigator of the Mary. He was very familiar with the situation in the chaotic starfield. "Well, then the nearest planet." Li Huamui nodded and moved her finger on the star map and finally landed on the nearest planet outside Blackbird's sphere of influence. Immediately, the basic information of this planet appeared on one side of the hologram. Gold and silver star. Belonged to evil Shark Jack. Population 100,000. Mineral resources unknown. No. Evil Shark Jack is Blackbird's sworn brother. If we flee here, we will fall into a trap. Li Huamei shook her head and denied Stan's opinion. Next, several star pirates, including Xing, expressed their opinions, but they were all denied by Li Huamei for various reasons. Big sister, you're like this again. This doesn't work, and that doesn't work. How can we escape? The pirates couldn't help but complain loudly. Master Crossing, what do you think? Li Huamei's eyes fell on Xia Xingchen and whispered. I'm not familiar with the Chaos Star region. I don't have any good ideas. Xia Xingchen smiled slightly. Just tell me, it can be regarded as a reference. Li Huamei was a little disappointed. Okay, I'll express my humble opinion. Xia Xingchen stood up, pointed at the star map, and drew a tortuous and long navigation track on it. This track passed through most of Blackbird's territory, twists and turns, and finally landed on a very distant planet. Azure Star. Belongs to Jackdaw Redwood, one of the 3 major ports in the Chaos Star region. The population exceeds 500 million. Seeing the escape route planned by Xia Xingchen, everyone was stunned. This escape route is too long. Yes. If we turn back, we will have to sail in Blackbird's territory for at least half a year. It's too dangerous. Besides, the destination is Azure Star. It's a big planet. Blackbird has many spies, and we will be discovered if we escape there. The pirates shook their heads, thinking that Xia Xingchen's escape route was too outrageous. This escape route is indeed quite long. But everyone should know what is the most important thing in escaping. The most important thing is supplies. Although my route is long, it will lead to a planet where supplies can be obtained. You can take a look. Xia Xingchen smiled lightly and was not in a hurry. He listed the information of several planets on the escape route. This planet is one of those planets with rich supplies, and its location is remote, where supplies can be obtained, and it will not be noticed by Blackbird. When the pirates saw this information, everyone was stunned. They didn't think so much, they just wanted to escape as soon as possible and didn't think about supplies at all. Secondly, we are indeed sailing in Blackbird's territory. As the saying goes, it is darkest under the lamp. The most dangerous place is the safest place. In fact, the more we go against the trend, the safer we will be. Xia Xingchen explained. Third, our destination is Azure Star. This belongs to Edward the Jackdaw. Everyone knows that Edward and Blackbird do not have a good relationship, and there are often frictions between the two. Therefore, we should be able to get Edward's protection on Azure Star. Xia Xingchen continued. In summary, I think this is the best escape route. Captain, what do you think? Li Huamei's face was sluggish. She was deeply shocked and had not yet recovered. Xia Xingchen reminded her again, and Li Huamei suddenly woke up and said repeatedly, not bad. A very detailed plan. Let's follow this plan. Xia Xingchen's plan was so detailed that any emergency situation was taken into consideration. The pirates were speechless. In addition, Li Huamei agreed that they could only follow this escape route. The pirates walked out of the conference room one by one. Li Huamei stopped Xia Xingchen, and only the 2 of them were left in the room. Master R. Crossing, how did you come up with this escape plan? Why can you come up with such a detailed plan in such a short time? Li Huamei looked puzzled. I'm a third-rate pilot in Mechas. I'm a second-rate manufacturer of Mechas. But when it comes to escaping, I'm a first-rate. Don't worry. Xia Xingchen smiled slightly, confident. Back then, in the Northern Star region, Xia Xingchen commanded the Evil Thought, traversing the Star Sea and making the Northern Army run around in circles. The pirates in the Chaos Star region were not as organized as the Northern Army, so it was not difficult for Xia Xingchen to escape from this mob. Then I'm relieved. Li Huamei nodded, feeling that this young man was full of mystery. And this kind of mystery is a fatal temptation for any woman. Captain, if there is nothing else, I will go back and organize my mecha workshop. Xia Xingchen turned and said goodbye. Looking at Xia Xingchen's leaving back, Li Huamei's eyes flashed, and she couldn't help but licking her beautiful lips gently. Chapter 942 Planet Hunting. In the Star Pirates, the leader has the most power. The second is the Mecha Repairman. After that, it is the turn of the Commando Captain and Navigator. Although Xia Xingchen does not have any position in the Bloody Mary Star Pirates. However, he alone occupies a huge mecha workshop. Compared with the small private space of other crew members, you can see how much power he actually has. Xia Xingchen commanded several burly star pirates to clean up the long abandoned mecha workshop, and then drove all these people out. From the portable space, he put the instruments and equipment stolen from Gory's mecha workshop in the workshop. Patting the dust on his hands, Xia Xingchen began to study the star-devouring armor stolen from Gory. The star-devouring armor is the most popular part of the star skeleton armor. The material used in the production of this armor is a kind of magic beast skin called star-devouring python. There are 5 levels of alien beasts, wild beasts, alien beasts, magic beasts, holy beasts, and divine beasts. The star-devouring python is a high-level magic beast with a diameter of 7 meters and a length of more than 100 meters. With a big mouth, it can swallow the whole mecha, and it will spray highly corrosive acid from its mouth, which is very powerful. The most important thing is that, because of the long-term hunting by humans, the number of star-devouring pythons is extremely rare. Therefore, the price of star-devouring armor has also risen. According to the price estimate of the Black Tower, Xia Xingchen wants to use star-devouring armor to cover the entire body of the King Lang mecha, which requires at least 200,000 star crystals. Why is this star-devouring armor so expensive? Xia Xingchen was murmuring in his heart and began to use instruments to test the performance of the star-devouring armor. Blade cutting, water flow impact, flame burning, laser ousting. After a series of tests, Xia Xingchen was shocked to find that there was indeed a reason why the price of the star-devouring armor was so expensive. The star-devouring armor is extremely strong and tough, and has excellent protection against impact attacks. Moreover, it is waterproof and fireproof. Only when it is attacked by high-energy lasers will it be damaged more seriously. However, after the damaged star-devouring armor is soaked in water, the star-devouring python cells on it will regain activity, just like being alive, and slowly grow and recover. The overall performance of the star-devouring armor far exceeded Xia Xingchen's imagination. Moreover, in the Chaos Star region, where it is extremely inconvenient to repair mechas, it is simply the first choice for mecha router armor. Of course, the price of the star-devouring armor is too expensive. Ordinary mecha masters simply cannot afford it. Even Xia Xingchen, seeing the astronomical figure of 200,000 star crystals, was a little trembling. There is no way. I can only try my luck. After arriving at the Azure Star, I will see if I can buy the corpse of the star-devouring python. I should be able to save a lot of money by making the star-devouring armor myself. After Xia Xingchen finished the test, he called Xiao, who was sleeping in a daze, and asked him to help draw the blueprint of the star-devouring armor. Xiao was dizzy, but fortunately the structure of the star-devouring armor was not complicated for it. After drawing it quickly, it returned to Xia Xingchen's personal space again and fell asleep. By the way, painting. Xia Xingchen suddenly thought that he could also carry mental power painting on the Azure Dragon mecha. Xia Xingchen does not have many painting skills now. In addition to strength, his best skill is enhancement, and reinforcement is the only 3-piece paint that Xia Xingchen has mastered. Xia Xingchen has always been very satisfied with the power of the reinforced paint, and there is no better paint now. So in the next voyage, Xia Xingchen locked himself in the mecha workshop and made the reinforced paint wholeheartedly. Practice makes perfect. It didn't take Xia Xingchen much time to make the reinforced paint this time. In just 1 week, the brand new reinforced paint was completed. However, the King Lang mecha has not yet been equipped with external armor, and the mental paint can only be carried on the external armor. Therefore, although the reinforced paint is completed, Xia Xingchen cannot use it for the time being. The Mary flew for 3 months. Because Xia Xingchen chose a very clever escape route, there were no dangers along the way, and he began to slowly approach the Azure Star. The fuel of the Mary is still sufficient, but the fresh water and food on the spacecraft are already insufficient. The next stop, the spacecraft will land on a wild planet numbered D73 for hunting to replenish fresh water and food. Planet D73 is a green planet. Mountains, lakes, rivers, oceans, everything. The thickness of the atmosphere is suitable, the oxygen content in the air is sufficient, the 4 seasons are distinct, and all kinds of life thrive here. If D73 was not located in the chaotic star field and its location was relatively remote, it would definitely become a resort comparable to Furuxing. However, it is precisely because of its remote location that this planet has not been affected too much by humans and has maintained its original ecological environment. The Mary passed through the thick atmosphere and stopped on a bare mountain. There were 5 people in the hunting team. Xingchen was the captain and led the team members to drive the mecha to hunt in the forest. Master Xing, do you want to go to the surface of the planet to relax together? Xingchen shouted excitedly to Xia Xingchen, who was testing the mecha. No. Xia Xingchen shook his head and smiled. I have something else to do. Master Xing, there is a star-swallowing python on this planet. If we are lucky enough. Xingchen continued. Star-devouring python? Xia Xingchen was stunned, thought for a while, and agreed. Okay. I'll go with you. The 5 people in the hunting team became 6. Xia Xingchen drove the unfinished Azure Dragon mecha skeleton into the dense jungle of planet D73. Master Xing, what kind of mecha is this? I see why the skeleton is made of wood. It looks like Azure Dragon wood. Xingchen drove a huge bear-shaped mecha and cleared the way in front. Yes, you are not mistaken. It is Azure Dragon wood. Xia Xingchen did not explain too much. The strength of Azure Dragon wood is too low. Such a mecha cannot fight. A star pirate named William drove a Vulcan mecha produced by Europa Company. This is not a star skeleton beast armor, but an ordinary mecha known for its long-range firepower. William is the firepower of the team, holding a flame laser rifle. Haha. I just came to take a look and relax. You are here to protect me. What should I worry about? Xia Xingchen smiled. He knew very well that, although the Kinglang mecha was only a skeleton, its performance was much better than their mecha. By the way, what is our hunting target? Xia Xingchen suddenly asked. Well, unicorn dinosaurs. It is an omnivorous dinosaur. It is large in size, large in number, and has delicious meat. It is also rich in various nutrients. Xingchen said with a smile. However, unicorn dinosaurs are a bit fierce. Master Xing, when you encounter prey later, you must stay away. Otherwise, you will be hurt. Haha. Brother Xingchen, you underestimate me too much. How about we make a bet to see who can hunt the most unicorn dinosaurs later? Xia Xingchen raised his eyebrows and said with a smile. Chapter 943 Python Fishing. Haha, sure. I still owe you a drink. I won this time. Not only are we even, you also owe me a drink. Tai Xiang laughed heartily. Master A Crossing, you'd better not bet with brother Tai Xiang. He's a hunting expert. He's famous for his dog nose. He can tell clearly where the wild beast is with just a sniff. That's right. Master A Crossing. You're a mecha repairman. You're not good at driving a mecha. You're bound to lose if you bet with brother Tai Xiang. Besides, your mecha is made of wood and has no combat capability at all. How can you compare with brother Tai Xiang? The pirates said one after another, obviously not optimistic about Xia Xingchen. In their opinion, a mecha repairman should be in the mecha workshop, dealing with parts and oil every day. Haha, if you lose, it's just a drink. I can afford it. Xia Xingchen smiled and agreed to the bet with Tai Xiang. Hush. Before they had walked far, Xingchen suddenly twitched his nose twice and made a gesture to silence the team members, asking them not to chat. Alley, drone. Xingchen said to a yellow space pirate. Alley nodded, said nothing, and pressed a button on the console. Alley's mecha was a scout mecha, with good speed, but poor combat performance, and equipped with many reconnaissance devices. The left shoulder of the scout mecha opened, and a hummingbird-type drone flew out, without making a sound, flying towards the depths of the jungle ahead. Soon, the drone transmitted the reconnaissance images to the screen of the mecha. There was a lake in front, the crystal water was sparkling, and 2 huge dinosaurs with huge bodies, long necks, and a black horn on their foreheads were strolling leisurely. They stretched their necks, and kept picking leaves from the trees and chewing them. Good luck. They are 2 adult unicorn dinosaurs. They are rated as beasts. However, everyone should be careful. They are thick-skinned and tough, and laser attacks are not very effective. It is best to use close-range weapons. Also, be careful to avoid them. When they go crazy, they are very fierce. Tai Xiang is indeed a hunting expert, and knows the habits of unicorn dinosaurs like the back of his hand. Got it? Everyone nodded. Okay. Get on. Tai Xiang shouted softly, stepped on the power pedal, and rushed out first. Roar. The unicorn dinosaurs were very alert. As soon as Tai Xiang and others appeared, their scalloped eyes were already projected over, stretched their necks, raised their heads and let out a long roar. Bang bang bang. One of the unicorn dinosaurs took a step that shook the earth, and its clumsy body was extremely fast, rushing towards Tai Xiang. William. Full fire. Cover me. Tai Xiang looked at the huge body of the unicorn dinosaur, and he did not dare to neglect it. He shouted loudly, and rushed up in the bear-shaped mecha. Boom boom boom. William was driving the Vulcan mecha in the back, pulling the trigger of the laser rifle, and beams of energy were tilted towards the huge body of the unicorn dinosaur. Bang. At the same time, the bear mecha also jumped up, hugged the long neck of the unicorn dinosaur, and tried to twist it off. Bang. The body of the unicorn dinosaur was hit by the laser beam, and it was in great pain. With a flick of its long neck, it threw the bear mecha onto a giant tree behind it. Boom. The bear armor hit the tree trunk, and the 3-meter thick giant tree collapsed with a loud bang, and the earth shook violently. At the same time, the remaining 3 mechas had already drawn the laser swords at their waists, and stabbed them into the body of the unicorn dinosaur. AWW. The unicorn dinosaur let out a long roar, and its huge body fell down, losing its life. Damn, this beast is really fierce. Xia drove the mecha out from under the tree trunk, touching the cold sweat on his head. He almost capsized in the gutter just now. Wait a minute. Xia suddenly felt that something was wrong. There were clearly 2 unicorns just now, but how come there is only one left now? Where is the other one? The 5 hunting team members all realized this problem, and looked around with vigilance, trying to find the missing unicorn. However, in the open space 200 meters away, they saw the body of the unicorn. A huge blood hole with a diameter of more than 1 meter appeared on the chest of the unicorn, and the heart was directly torn apart. Xia Xingchen drove the King Long mecha, and stood next to the body. With a calm face, he chuckled and said, "You just finished it. So slow. You killed a unicorn by yourself?" Xia and others were full of astonishment on their faces, and their eyes were full of disbelief. Just now, the 5 of them cooperated, and took a lot of effort to kill a unicorn. Xia Xingchen killed one by himself? The most terrifying thing is that when Xia Xingchen fought with the unicorn, there was not even a sound. Could it be that Xia Xingchen killed the unicorn in one move? When Tai Xiang and the others thought of this, beads of sweat could not help but appear on their foreheads. If that was the case, Xia Xingchen's strength was too terrifying. Yeah. We were too slow. Tai Xiang smiled bitterly. He suddenly felt that his bet with Xia Xingchen was just a suicidal act. 2 unicorn dinosaurs. Is this enough meat? If not, we'll continue hunting. Xia Xingchen breathed in the fresh air on the surface of the planet and felt happy. Okay. Tai Xiang roughly calculated that, although the unicorn dinosaurs were large, there were not many delicious parts. Now at least 5 adult unicorn dinosaurs had to be hunted. Tai Xiang originally thought that this hunting mission was very difficult. After all, unicorn dinosaurs were not so easy to deal with. But now it seems that, because of Xia Xingchen's joining, their hunting mission is as simple as a spring outing. Planet D73, in front of a huge lake. A medium-sized starship of more than 1,000 meters stopped here. On the surface of the starship was a grinning skull. This was a star pirate ship. The Sons of Slaughter 2-star pirate group. The leader, Wiggin, is a fierce pirate with a scar on his face. He is directing his men to use an engineering mecha to fish a huge stone over the lake. This huge stone is not an ordinary stone, but a rare meteorite. Wiggin spent a high price of 100,000 star coins on this meteorite alone. Because this meteorite is the bait for fishing the star-devouring python. The star-devouring python has this name. It is because this alien monster likes to swallow large meteorites the most. After 2 years of exploration, Wiggin determined that there is a huge adult star-devouring python in this lake. If it can be caught, Wiggin believes that he can earn more than 1 million star crystals. And his Sons of Slaughter star pirate group can also be upgraded from 2 stars to 3 stars. The bait is ready. The rest is to wait quietly for the prey to take the bait. Boom. At this moment, a huge whirlpool appeared in the lake, and a column of water rushed up from the center of the whirlpool. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 944, Fortune and Honor in Danger. Boom. In the lake, a giant python as thick as a bucket soared into the sky, opened its mouth wide, and swallowed the huge meteorite in one gulp. The body of this python was covered with black scales the size of tiles. Its mouth was huge, and there was a single horn on its head. Wow. A star-swallowing python with horns on its head. It's going to evolve from a demon beast to a sacred beast, the star-swallowing dragon. Wei Jin was overjoyed. In this way, the price of the star-swallowing python will soar to a higher level and become a sky-high price. The star-swallowing python swallowed the meteorite in one gulp, stuck in its throat, and slowly swallowed it down. At this time, it smelled the breath of humans, and its head slowly turned around to look at Wei Jin and his group of star pirates. Snakes have very poor eyesight, and so does the star-swallowing python, but it can lock the position of its prey by smell alone. Team 1, Team 2, get ready. Let you, the beast, taste the bomb. Viking gave an order, grinned, and pressed a detonator in his hand. Boom. The bomb hidden in the meteorite exploded, instantly blowing half of the star-devouring python's neck, leaving a bloody mess. Hiss. The star-devouring python let out a wail, twisted its body madly, and opened its mouth, spewing deadly acid everywhere. A mecha couldn't avoid it in time, and was sprayed by the acid, which corroded and dissolved it immediately. Most of the mecha's shell was dissolved, and the mecha master also melted into a ball of green water, because of the acid. Get out of the way. This acid can't be touched. Viking shouted hurriedly. The star pirates felt a chill in their hearts, and hurriedly drove the mechas to disperse. At the same time, the star-devouring python plunged into the water, escaped into the depths of the lake, and disappeared. Captain, that beast escaped. A star pirate shouted. Eat my poison bait. There is absolutely no escape. Wigkin grinned. There is not only a bomb in the meteorite, but also a signal generator. It will be useless, no matter where you escape. Prepare the infrasonic generator and drive this beast out of the lake. Yes, Captain. The pirates also laughed, drove the mecha back to the spaceship, and moved out a huge trumpet-shaped instrument, half of which was submerged in the water. This is an infrasound generator that can emit infrasound waves that humans cannot hear, causing great damage. The lethality of this instrument is so great that it can even cause irreversible damage to the planet's ecosystem. Therefore, even among the pirates in the chaotic starfield, it is a contraband. However, Wiggin obviously did not take the matter of destroying the planet's ecology to heart. After installing the equipment, he immediately turned on the switch. But the machine started to run, and waves of infrasound passed through the lake like ripples, spreading to the entire lakeside. In a blink of an eye, a layer of fish and shrimps with white bellies turned up floated on the lake, some large and some small, and all the creatures in the lake were extinct. On the other side of the lake, Xia Xingchen and the hunting team had just finished hunting, and were dismembering the unicorn dinosaur, and bringing the most delicious parts of the corpse back to the spaceship. Woo. At this moment, Xia Xingchen felt a sharp pain in his head, his vision went black, and there seemed to be something sharp in his ears, scratching them hard, making him feel extremely uncomfortable. It's infrasound. Xia Xingchen immediately realized that someone was using an infrasound weapon. Humans were originally unable to hear infrasound, but with Xia Xingchen's level of mental power, the brain evolved again, with a wider brain area, and could hear sounds that were previously unheard of. Infrasound? Why can't we hear it? Tixin was slightly startled when he heard Xia Xingchen's words. However, there may be other hunting teams. Regardless of them, For safety, we should return to the boat as soon as possible. Okay. Xia Xingchen nodded. At this moment, the sound of rushing water came from the direction of the lake behind him. A bright red blood fountain gushed out, and a blood rain fell from the sky. What the hell? Xia Xingchen was also startled, and a sense of danger appeared in his heart. Whoosh! A giant one-horned python jumped out of the lake, rushed to the shore, and gasped for breath. The neck of this giant python was seriously injured, but the wound was healing rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. When Xia Xingchen saw this scene, he immediately realized that this was a star-swallowing python. Star-swallowing python. And it has grown horns. It's about to evolve into a star-swallowing dragon. Xingchen exclaimed from the side. Star-swallowing dragon. Can this alien monster also evolve? It seems that evolution is indeed the mission of cosmic life. Xia Xingchen was slightly startled. The star-swallowing python is already precious enough, and the star-swallowing dragon is 100 times more precious. However, the star-swallowing python is very difficult to deal with, and a hunting team of 20 B-class mecha masters may not be able to hunt it successfully. The star-swallowing dragon is even more terrifying. It may even require an S-class mecha master to take action to capture it. Fortunately, this star-swallowing python has not yet fully evolved, and it is seriously injured. Otherwise, Xia Xingchen and Xingchen may not be its opponents. Big profit. Big profit this time. Xingchen couldn't help but shout excitedly, if we can capture this star-swallowing python, it will be better than the annual income of the Star Pirates. I will immediately contact the spaceship and let the big sister send someone over. Can't wait. This star-swallowing python is very fast, and will soon escape from our sight. Xia Xingchen said hurriedly. But, it's too difficult for a few of us to catch this star-swallowing python. Tai Xiang looked at the pirates in the hunting team. When they hunted the unicorn dinosaur just now, except for Xia Xingchen, the mechas of the others were more or less damaged. Moreover, the remaining ammunition and energy were not enough. It was very difficult and dangerous to hunt the star-swallowing python. Tai Xiang was a hunting expert. He knew very well that the first priority in hunting in the wild was to ensure the safety of himself and his teammates. If one was blinded by interests and made wrong judgments, and the team members were injured, the gain would outweigh the loss. No matter how precious the star-swallowing python was, it was not as important as the lives of the brothers. I'll try, Xia Xingchen said. Master axing. Tai Xiang hesitated. That's a star-swallowing python. If Tai Xiang hadn't seen with his own eyes that Xia Xingchen killed the unicorn dinosaur with one blow just now, and it was extremely powerful, otherwise, he would have rejected Xia Xingchen's seemingly ridiculous proposal long ago. At this moment, Tai Xiang already knew that this young man named Axing was not only a master of mecha manufacturing and maintenance, but also a very powerful mecha master. Maybe, Master Axing can really do it. Tai Xiang thought in his heart, and asked Xia Xingchen, how sure are you? Not sure. But, fortune and wealth are sought in danger. If you let go of this opportunity, you may never have another chance in the future. Xia Xingchen's eyes were burning. Okay. Master A crossing. You hunt at close range. We recommend fire support from the rear. If you are not the opponent, retreat in time. Safety first. Tai Xiang instructed. Chapter 945. Narrow Victory. Star-devouring python. Let me meet you. Xia Xingchen smiled, stepped on the power pedal, and the Azure Dragon mecha took a big step forward, rushing towards the direction of the star-devouring python. Boom, boom, boom. The earth was shaking, and the star-devouring python immediately became alert, raised its head, and kept spitting out red tongues from its mouth. The speed of the Azure Dragon mecha was extremely fast. Although it did not have a jet and wings, it was like flying, jumping high, and after a few leaps, it arrived in front of the star-devouring python. Tai Xiang and others who were operating the mecha took out their long-range weapons, and watched carefully through the sights. So fast. I've never seen a mecha that's this fast. Ali was driving a reconnaissance mecha, which was very fast. At this moment, he couldn't help but sigh. Master Axing's mecha has too abnormal performance. And this is an unfinished state with only a skeleton. If it is equipped with flying wings and jets, how fast will it be? It's abnormal. William's eyes were burning. I don't know what kind of weapon the black drill he used is. It was condensed out of thin air, and the lethality is extremely terrifying. Haha. Let's wait and see. Let's see the true strength of Master Axing. However, if he is in danger, we will save him at all costs, Xia said with a smile. Hearing this, the star pirates laughed immediately. Of course. Master Axing is our companion. If our companion is in danger, of course we will fight to the death. Brother Xia, do you think, can Master Axing kill this star-devouring python? Ali suddenly asked. I don't know either. Tai Xiang hesitated and said, Master Axing is too mysterious. I don't know his true strength. However, this star-devouring python is seriously injured, so he should have a chance. Yes. We also think that Master Axing will definitely return victorious. The star pirates all nodded. Although they had only known each other for a short time, there was a convincing feeling about Xia Xingchen. Bang! The azure dragon mech turned into a green shadow, rushing all the way, breaking the big tree blocking the road, and rushed in front of the star-devouring python. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The star-devouring python's snake tongue kept swallowing and spitting out, and a pair of scalded eyes stared at the azure dragon mech. Star-devouring python. My luck is really good. Xia Xingchen's eyes sparkled, and a smile appeared on his face. Send a pillow when you are sleepy. As long as I can kill you, I can make a star-devouring armor. The enhanced paint can also be carried on the mecha. This time, the combat capability of the azure dragon mech will leap to a higher level. As he said, the azure dragon mech took a step and walked towards the star-devouring python step by step. The star-devouring python's body was coiled, with its head upright, swaying slowly in a special rhythm. At the same time, the cells on the wound on the star-devouring python's neck were extremely active, constantly repairing the wound. A transparent film had formed on the wound, and the bleeding had stopped. It lives up to its reputation. What a terrifying self-healing ability. Xia Xingchen squinted his eyes and looked at the wound of the star-devouring python with a surprised look on his face. The universe is home to countless lives, all kinds of strange things. The human body is not strong, and it does not have the terrifying self-healing ability of the star-devouring python. However, humans are the overlords of the Milky Way, while the powerful star-devouring python is being hunted to extinction by humans. The strong are on the verge of extinction. The weak, on the contrary, dominate the universe. This is a wonder of the universe. Xia Xingchen was not in a hurry, with a vigilant look in his eyes, and walked slowly towards the star-devouring python. Just when the distance was reduced to 30 meters. Whoosh! The upper body of the star-devouring python suddenly bounced, like an arrow, turning into a dark blue light, and it was in front of him in the blink of an eye. Boom! A thunderclap sounded out of nowhere in the air, and white gas also appeared around the head of the star-devouring python. Sound barrier. The speed of the star-devouring python was too fast. It actually exceeded the speed of sound. It is completely unimaginable for human flesh to exceed the speed of sound. However, the star-devouring python can do it. Xia Xingchen's face changed slightly, and the Qinglang mecha immediately stopped, and the huge dragon claws suddenly stepped on the giant tree in front of it, and jumped back. However, the star-devouring python was like a maggot on the tarsal bone, following the trajectory of the Qinglang mecha, opening its big mouth, and biting it fiercely. Xia Xingchen could even see the barbed fangs in the mouth of the star-devouring python, flashing green light, and a foul smell came to his nose. This beast is so fierce. Take my move. While Xia Xingchen was driving the mecha in the air, to avoid the attack of the star-devouring python, 6 silver spiral drills appeared behind him, and he shouted violently. Whoosh! The 6 drills immediately spun, turning into 6 streams of light, and drilling into the mouth of the star-devouring python. Even on Shinyuan Star, when Xia Xingchen fought with an S-class mecha master, he had never fired 6 drills at the same time. It can be seen that Xia Xingchen's attack was determined to win. This star-devouring python was about to turn into a dragon, and it was at least 1,000 years old, and its wisdom was not low. It immediately felt a strong sense of crisis. Wow. With a big mouth, thick acid gushed out, trying to melt these drills together. The acid of the star-devouring python is more terrifying than aqua regia. It is one of the most corrosive substances in the Milky Way. Xia Xingchen was too close to the star-devouring python. With his reflexes, he had no time to control the drill to avoid it. 6 silver-white drills were sprayed right on top. However, swish, 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 swish. 6 drills pierced through the acid curtain and pierced directly from the mouth of the star-devouring python into its body, instantly drilling its internal organs into a mess, and the organs were completely crushed. Hiss. The star-devouring python let out a whine, fell from mid-air, and landed on the ground, and its eyes quickly lost their luster. The star-devouring python is dead. The azure dragon mecha fell next to the corpse of the star-devouring python. Xia Xingchen wiped the cold sweat on his head and felt a little scared. To be honest, the situation just now was very dangerous. It was just a little bit away, and the azure dragon mecha was swallowed by the star-devouring python. The acid of the star-devouring python is also very powerful. If it were an ordinary weapon, it would have been corroded and dissolved. However, the drill used by Xia Xingchen is not an ordinary weapon, but a weapon condensed directly by telekinesis. Telekinesis weapons are not susceptible to water and fire, and are not afraid of acid corrosion. Fortunately, this star-devouring python was injured. Otherwise, with this semi-finished azure dragon mecha, I really may not be its opponent. Xia Xingchen sighed in his heart. Master Axing, you won. You really won. Tixing and others rushed over, their faces full of incredible expressions. It was a narrow victory. Xia Xingchen nodded. We will dismember the snake body. Take the python skin back. Dismember? Impossible. Tixing smiled slightly, waved his hand, and took out a laser lightsaber, stabbing at the corpse of the star-devouring python. Squeak. The laser lightsaber burned the corpse of the star-devouring python with high energy, but it couldn't penetrate. The strongest part of the star-devouring python is its skin. Fortunately, you just killed it from the inside. Otherwise. Anyway, let's take the python body back first, and dismember it slowly. Tixing shook his head and said. Chapter 946 Son of Slaughter. Mary. Li Huamui was directing the space pirates to refill the spaceship with fresh water. She was obviously a little absent-minded, turning her head to look towards the forest from time to time. Li Huamui was worried about the safety of Tixing and Xia Xingchen. Back. A space pirate rushed over excitedly, shouting loudly, the first mate and master crossing are back. And they are back with a full load. Great. Li Huamui's face showed a touch of joy, and she rushed out of the spaceship to greet Xia Xingchen and Tixing. I saw that the hunting team's mecha was not only carrying a lot of fresh meat of unicorn dinosaurs, but also a huge unicorn python. Star-devouring python. It's a star-devouring python. Oh my god, I'm not seeing things. Li Huamui rubbed her eyes, couldn't help but screamed, and then rushed to the Kinglang mecha dragging the corpse of the star-devouring python. Star-devouring python? The other space pirates were also shocked and rushed over. Many of them saw the star-devouring python for the first time. Too strong. A hunting team of 6 people actually killed a star-devouring python. We made a lot of money. We made a lot of money this time. A star-devouring python is worth hundreds of thousands of star crystals. The star pirates were all very surprised, their eyes widened, and they talked loudly. Haha, killing this star-devouring python was the work of Master Crossing alone. We didn't do anything. How ashamed. Tai Xiang smiled awkwardly. He didn't mean to hide anything, and told the truth directly. Master Crossing, you killed the star-devouring python alone. The star pirates surrounded Xia Xingchen, their eyes full of awe. I was also lucky. I encountered a wounded star-devouring python. If it was in good condition, I might not be its opponent. Xia Xingchen smiled modestly. At this time, the Son of Slaughter star pirates had already prepared, and Captain Viking personally led them to hunt the star-devouring python that had been driven to the shore. Captain, the star-devouring python has not moved. A star pirate looked at the tracking instrument and said in surprise, it must be resting and healing. Wiggin thought for a while and said, the self-healing ability of the star-devouring python is very strong. The injury will recover soon. We must hurry up. Soon, the Son of Slaughter arrived near the place where the signal was sent. Something is wrong. Wiggin frowned. The self-healing ability of the star-devouring python is related to water. It is impossible for it to leave the lake too far and run to this mountain top. Moreover, there are traces of fighting on the road just now. Could it be? Wiggin had an ominous premonition in his heart. Drone. Go to the front for reconnaissance. Wiggin waved his hand and asked his men to release a small reconnaissance plane. Buzz buzz buzz. The reconnaissance plane flew forward quickly and transmitted the picture to the screen. In front, a Star Pirate spaceship stopped on the open space on the top of the mountain. A group of Star Pirates were busy cutting the body of the star-devouring python, cutting the python skin into small pieces and moving them into the spaceship. Well, we were intercepted. The Star Pirates of the Son of Slaughter suddenly changed their faces. I didn't expect that there are other pirates on this planet. And they killed the seriously injured devouring star python. Damn it. This time, aren't we going to fail? We worked in vain and made wedding clothes for them. What bad luck. The pirates cursed angrily, with angry faces. Arsehole. Wiggin's face was extremely ugly. He gritted his teeth fiercely. His face was ferocious. The pirates have an unwritten rule. Whoever causes a fatal blow to the prey, then the prey belongs to him. Even if they go to the other party to ask for it now, there will be no result, and they will only be laughed at in vain. Pirates are not good men and women who will spit out the food they swallowed. Captain, what should we do? The pirates worked in vain and were full of resentment in their hearts. Are we just going to accept it? Wait a minute. Wiggin saw the pirate logo on the other side's spaceship. His pupils suddenly shrank, and he thought of a bounty order he had received before. Wiggin immediately found his personal terminal and compared the logo of the Bloody Mary pirate group on the bounty order with the logo on the spaceship in front of him. It was exactly the same. The resentment on Wiggin's face was immediately swept away, replaced by a smug smile, laughing. What bad luck. It's just good luck. That can't be better. I have never been so lucky in my life. Captain, our prey was robbed. How can it be good luck? A pirate next to him blinked in confusion. Do you know who robbed our prey? Wiggin glanced at the pirates. It was the Bloody Mary pirates. Isn't this good luck? Bloody Mary pirates? Ah. It's the pirate group that Blackbeard wanted to bounty on. So it was them. Being chased by countless pirates in the Chaos Starfield, they dared to come and rob our prey. What a courage. The pirates only then realized that the other party was the Bloody Mary who had been making a lot of noise in the Chaos Starfield recently. Let's go back now and call all the brothers on the pirate ship to come over. Capture this group of people. Not only can we hand them over to Blackbeard in exchange for a large reward, moreover, the star-devouring python is still ours. Wiggin was not in a hurry at all. Dismembering the star-devouring python was a strenuous job and would take a lot of time. During this time, he could transfer all his troops here. Although they were both two-star pirate groups, the strength of the Sons of Slaughter was a level stronger than that of the Bloody Mary pirates. In terms of mecha divisions alone, the Sons of Slaughter had 20 more mecha divisions than the Bloody Mary. Yes, Captain. The pirates smiled and left a few people to stay nearby for reconnaissance. The others went back with Wiggin, preparing to bring a large force to destroy the Bloody Mary pirates in one fell swoop. Mary, in the mecha workshop. The skin of the star-devouring python was cut into squares of 1 square meter and sent to Xia Xingchen. Xia Xingchen estimated that 15 sets of star-devouring armor could be made from the hundreds of meters long star-devouring python. That's right, not 15 pieces, but 15 sets, enough to equip 15 mechas. If this batch of star-devouring armor is put on the auction of the Black Tower, it will be worth more than 2 million star crystals. The reason why the star-devouring armor is so expensive, in addition to the fact that the star-devouring python is very rare and the star-devouring armor is particularly practical, there are too few craftsmen who master the production of the star-devouring armor. Moreover, the process of making the star-devouring armor is very cumbersome. Not only does it need to be degreased and nitrated, but it also needs to be soaked in special potions for at least half a year to ensure that the cells of the star-devouring python on the star-devouring armor can still remain active. However, Xia Xingchen has Xia, the production unit of the Star Domain Arc. The production process of the star-devouring armor is extremely complicated. He only needs a few minutes to make a set. Xia, make the star-devouring armor immediately. I can't wait. Xia Xingchen took out the star mark and transferred the raw materials to the Star Domain Arc. Chapter 947 Gift. Xia Xingchen felt more and more that Jia's ability was extremely powerful. As long as there were drawings and materials, it could instantly create any mechanical equipment. Xia Xingchen even had an idea in his mind. To counterattack Xia Neo and Star, he did not need to obtain more permissions from the Star Domain Arc. Xia Xingchen only needed to find some drawings of war robots to easily create a terrible steel torrent army and easily overwhelm the army of the Galactic Empire. The drawings of war robots were not difficult to find. The raw materials of war robots were also everywhere. No, I can't do this. It's too dangerous. Xia Xingchen suddenly thought of the destruction of the Manco people. He was shocked, and his back was soaked with cold sweat. Almost, I went astray. Xia Xingchen was afraid. Just now, he almost couldn't resist the temptation of power, and made a wrong decision. Yes, with the help of Jia, it was easy for Xia Xingchen to form an army of robots. However, Xia Xingchen did not have the abilities of Carlos and Athena. Could he control the army of robots? It was basically impossible. Once the artificial intelligence awakens in the robot, Xia Xingchen will lose control of this army. And this terrible army will cause a catastrophe to mankind. The powerful Manc people were eventually destroyed by their own creations. Xia Xingchen will not repeat the same mistakes and follow the old path of the Manc people. That is obviously unworkable. I still have to rely on my own strength. Xia Xingchen thought secretly in his heart and placed the devouring star python skin within the range of the beacon. The blue light flashed and the devouring star python skin was teleported to the Star Domain Arc. Jia immediately controlled the production unit and manufactured 15 sets of devouring star armor according to the drawings provided by Xia Xingchen and teleported them to Xia Xingchen. Devouring star armor. Xia Xingchen's eyes were burning and he reached out to touch the devouring star armor and felt a trace of coolness in his palm. This is not just devouring star armor, but a lot of star crystals. Xia Xingchen was born in poverty and has a special pursuit of wealth. However, this does not mean that he is a stingy person. Especially for his friends, Xia Xingchen has always been generous. The star devouring armor needs further testing. It can only be tested in actual combat. Xia Xingchen thought for a moment and called Li Huamui and Tichen to his mecha workshop. Master Crossing, you are looking for us? Li Huamui's attitude towards Xia Xingchen became more and more respectful, and she looked at the mecha workshop curiously. Although the Mary was her ship, she could not come here without Xia Xingchen's permission. Yes, I'm looking for you. Xia Xingchen smiled slightly and said straight to the point, I want to see you two fight. Li Huamui and Tichen were surprised when they heard Xia Xingchen's words. They stared at Xia Xingchen for a long time, and Tichen said strangely, Master Crossing, did the battle just now cause any concussion in your brain? Why are you asking us to fight? Master, do you want to see the strength of the two of us? There is no need to compete. Tichen can't be my opponent. Li Huamui said rather conceitedly. Haha, you two have misunderstood. Xia Xingchen touched his nose and smiled awkwardly. I want you two to help me test the performance of the star devouring armor. Of course, I won't let you work for nothing. These 2 sets of star devouring armor are for you. Tun tun tun. Star devouring armor? Tichen was stunned. He was so anxious to speak that he almost bit his tongue. Give it to us? And 2 sets? Li Huamui's pretty face was also full of astonishment. Her beautiful eyes looked at Xia Xingchen in confusion. That's right, give it to you. Xia Xingchen repeated. No merit, no reward. Star devouring armor is so valuable, giving it to us for nothing. It's not good. Li Huamui was still hesitating. Sister Huamui, I'm not happy when you say that. What do you mean by giving it for nothing? Aren't you helping me test the performance of the armor? What's more, even if I give it for nothing, so what? I like it and I'm happy. Don't you guys want it? Xia Xingchen frowned and seemed a little unhappy. Rare. Of course it's rare. Star devouring armor. I, Tichen, have dreamed of having a set of star devouring armor all my life. Tichen said hurriedly. Well, thank you for the gift, master. Li Huamui's beautiful eyes flickered a few times, and she couldn't resist the temptation of the star devouring armor, so she accepted Xia Xingchen's kindness. That's right. Xia Xingchen smiled slightly. Drive your mecha in. I'll replace your armor for you. Li Huamui and Teaching went back excitedly and drove their mechas into the mecha workshop. It was also the first time that Xia Xingchen saw Li Huamui's mecha, and his expression was a little surprised. This is a death god mecha, which is black all over, and its weapon is a huge red sickle. The nickname Bloody Mary was earned by Li Huamui using this death god mecha. Xia Xingchen didn't expect that Li Huamui, a woman, would actually drive a melee mecha. This reminded Xia Xingchen of the first woman in his life, Blood Rose Freya. Bloody Mary, Blood Rose. Both women are equally seductive and sexy. There are indeed similarities. Xia Xingchen couldn't help but smile when she thought of the good times she had spent with Freya. However, Li Huamui and Freya also have differences. Freya is very simple, without so many thoughts, and is a woman who is easy to understand. But Li Huamui seemed to be shrouded in a layer of mist, and it was hazy and unclear. Xia Xingchen always felt that she was hiding something. But then again, Li Huamui's identity is a star pirate. If she didn't have some scheming and tricks, how could she survive in the chaotic starfield? As for Teaching's mecha, it is a star skeleton beast armor. He hunted an alien beast, the desert angry bear, and made it with its materials. The name of the mecha is called Angry Bear. The performance of the Angry Bear mecha is above average among the same level mechas. It is characterized by thick skin and strong defense. The disadvantage is also obvious, that is, the material of the desert angry bear is very expensive to repair. If the angry bear mech is equipped with the devouring star armor, it can make up for the defect of expensive maintenance. Therefore, Iron Bear was also rubbing his hands excitedly, waiting anxiously outside the mech workshop. Tai Xiang. Li Huamui leaned against the wall, a slender lady's cigarette between her lips, and suddenly asked, "Don't you find it strange? The star-swallowing python has just been dismembered, and the star-swallowing armor here has been made? Even if acting as a master, it can't be so fast." Tai Xiang smiled and said, "Captain, what's the use of thinking so much? Everyone has their own privacy. Not only master acting, but you and I are the same. Why bother with such trivial matters? The important thing is that Master Axing is a very good and generous person. He is definitely not an ordinary person. His joining our star pirate group is also a stopgap measure. Sooner or later, he will go to a wider world. It is enough for us to be friends with him and maintain this relationship." Tai Xiang, you are right. I thought too much. Li Huamui's slender fingers put out the cigarette, and a misty smoke spewed out of her scarlet lips. She said slowly, "I don't like others prying into my privacy. Those who escape to the chaotic starfield and become star pirates, who doesn't have some stories?" Chapter 948 Combat Test. In the mecha workshop, Xia Xingchen was busy. Jia manufactured the devouring star armor according to the blueprints, all of which were ordinary styles. In order to mount it on the mecha, some minor modifications were required. These were not difficult for Xia Xingchen. Done. Xia Xingchen wiped the crystal sweat from his forehead, looked up at the tall death mecha and angry bear mecha, both of which were equipped with devouring star armor that looked like cyan crystals, and a smile of accomplishment appeared on his face. So beautiful. Xia Xingchen looked up and muttered to himself. After the devouring star armor was equipped on the mecha, it was like a layer of cyan crystal, reflecting the colorful brilliance, and was covered with a layer of water vapor. The mecha was surrounded by clouds and mist. In addition to being strong, it also had a mysterious feeling. Not bad, not bad. After using the instrument to check the basic values of the mecha, Xia Xingchen nodded slightly, very satisfied with the results. Equipped with star-devouring armor, if we add the spiritual power coating, these two mechas will be even stronger. Xia Xingchen thought to himself, but he didn't have the right coating to install on the mechas now, so he had to think about it in the long run. "Captain. Brother Teaching. Come in." Xia Xingchen pressed the button on the table, and the voice was transmitted to the corridor. Swish. The automatic door opened, and Li Huamui and Teaching walked in impatiently. Seeing that their mechas were really equipped with star-devouring armor, both of them were stunned, their faces dull, and their eyes full of astonishment. Star-devouring armor. Li Huamui couldn't help swallowing her saliva. Teaching's reaction was even more exaggerated. He pinched himself hard, and then laughed. "It hurts. It hurts. It's not a dream. It's reality." Xia Xingchen chuckled. It's just 2 pieces of devouring star armor. Master axing. For you, devouring star armor may not be a big deal. But for us, the bottom level star pirates, devouring star armor can be said to be a lifelong dream. The dream suddenly came true, and I can't help but feel a little unreal. Xingchen rubbed his hands. His expression was hot, and he couldn't wait to test drive. Luxury, too luxurious. Li Huamui whispered, the devouring star armor is more expensive than our mecha. If other star pirates know about it, they will definitely laugh at me. I have to work hard to make money and buy a new mecha to match this devouring star armor. Yes, 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 I also want to buy a new mecha. Otherwise, it's just a waste of resources. Xingchen also shouted loudly. Haha, if there is a chance, I don't mind designing 2 new mechas for you. Xia Xingchen smiled softly and looked at the 2 people in front of him. Really? Master Crossing, you are a big shot. You can't just say that. Li Huamui and Xingchen were shocked again when they heard Xia Xingchen's words. This time, they were even more shocked than when they got the devouring star armor. How valuable is a mecha designed by a master? Even if it is a star pirate overlord, if he wants to find a master to design a mecha, he must prepare generous gifts and visit him repeatedly, and it depends on the master's mood. It can be said that the mecha designed by the master is worth 100 times more than the devouring star armor. Of course. Xia Xingchen said lightly, who makes us friends? Master Crossing, your words are enough. Xingchen grinned and said to Li Huamui, big sister, I can't wait to try the power of the devouring star armor. Let's go. Li Huamui had already entered the death mecha and said immediately. Boom boom boom. The 2 mechas walked out of the spaceship one after the other and came to the open space outside. When the pirates of the Mary heard that the captain and the first mate wanted to duel in Mechas, they all came out of the spaceship and gathered in the open space, each with a burning look in their eyes. Why did the captain and the first mate suddenly want to duel? Could it be that first mate Xingchen wants to take the position of captain? How is it possible? Brother Xingchen admires the big sister the most. How could he have such evil intentions? I heard that it was the new mecha repairman Axing who asked the 2 of them to fight, saying that it was to test the performance of the armor. Armor performance? Oh, that's right. The outer armor of their 2 mechas has been replaced with new ones. What kind of armor is this? Swallow armor? An unbelievable voice suddenly rang out in the open space. After the pirates knew that it was indeed the swallow armor, their eyes were filled with envy. Master Axing, you are so generous. You actually gave away 2 pieces of Star Devourer armor. That's at least 500,000 star crystals. What a generous gesture. We are so lucky to have such a generous repairman in our star pirates. The star pirates were all talking and sighing. Xia Xingchen stood at the end of the crowd with a faint smile on her face, with no sadness or joy in her heart. Compared with the admiration and respect of the star pirates, Xia Xingchen cared more about the actual combat effect of the Star Devourer armor. Big sister, I'm going to take action. This time, you may not be my opponent. Xingchen said with a smile. Haha. Li Huamui did not answer, but just chuckled, obviously very confident in her own strength. Boom. The angry bear mech rushed up without using any weapons, and the huge bear paw swept across, bringing a strong gust of wind, and hit the death mech hard. Li Huamui knew what Xia Xingchen was thinking, and she also wanted to test the performance of the Star Devourer armor, so she did not dodge and took this move. Bang! The best thing about the angry bear mech is its strength. With one strike, even steel would be crushed into powder. When it hit the death mech, it immediately made a dull sound. This sound was very strange. It was not the sound of metal colliding, but like a heavy hammer hitting a cowhide drum. The death mech shook a few times, lost its balance, stepped back more than 10 steps, and hit its back against a big tree before it stabilized its body. The degree of damage is 10%. Repairing, 9%, 8%. In the death mech, the optical computer was assessing the degree of damage to the body. The damage was much smaller than Li Huamui had imagined. If it was the original armor, the Iron Bear's strike just now would have lifted up the entire armor, revealing the skeleton and wiring of the mech underneath. The part of the death mech that was just hit, the blue devouring star armor was white, and there were scratches caused by the bear's paw. However, these white scratches are disappearing rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. Seeing is believing. The famous devouring star armor is indeed extraordinary. Li Huamui was extremely shocked. Resistance to impact, A+. Recovery ability, S+. Xia Xingchen held a personal terminal in his hand, recording the relevant parameters of the devouring star armor. Everyone's eyes were projected on the two mechas dueling in the open space. No one noticed that a mecha team of up to 50 people had quietly come from the jungle below the mountain, fanning out and surrounding them. Chapter 949, Tensions. The people who surrounded the Mary pirate ship were naturally the Sons of Slaughter pirates. The leader, Wiggin, led the team personally and brought all the mecha divisions of his own pirate group out, bringing a total of 51 mechas, ready to capture all the members of the Bloody Mary pirate group. Before coming, Wiggin also went to the intelligence network and spent a high price to buy the detailed information of the Bloody Mary pirate group, and had a comprehensive and profound understanding of this two-star pirate group. Through these materials, Wiggin quickly concluded that the Bloody Mary pirates still had some strength, especially the leader Li Huamui and the first mate Xing. One was an A-level mecha division and the other was a peak B-level mecha division. Both of them had strong combat effectiveness. However, except for the two of them, the strength of the rest of the people was uneven, and Wiggin didn't take it seriously at all. As for the Sons of Slaughter pirates, the levels of the pirates were very average, basically between C and B levels. But this pirate group has a lot of people. There are 50 mecha divisions, and with the crew of the spaceship, there are even close to 100 people. Among the two-star pirate groups in the chaotic starfield, they are already the best. Finally, Wiggin has made a complete plan. He sent a team of 20 people to deal with the two most powerful mecha divisions, Li Huamui and Xing. As long as these two people are dealt with, the remaining pirates will be lambs to be slaughtered. Captain, there are sounds of fighting ahead. All the people of the Bloody Mary pirate group are surrounding the spaceship. I don't know what they are doing. A pirate who was responsible for reconnaissance with drones reported to Wiggin. Drone closer. Continue reconnaissance. Everyone stay on standby. Wiggin frowned slightly and issued an order. The drone's picture was quickly transmitted back. When Wiggin saw Li Huamui and Xing fighting in mechas on the screen, he was stunned for a moment, and then his face showed ecstasy. The goddess of luck really favored me. I didn't expect that the Bloody Mary pirates were fighting internally. The leader and the first mate were fighting. Great. It's really great. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Wiggin didn't think much about it. He was overwhelmed by the sudden opportunity and threw away his previous caution. He took the lead and led the 50-man mecha team to the top of the mountain. The closer Wiggin got, the clearer he saw, and the more he felt something was wrong. That's right, Li Huamui and Xing were indeed fighting in mechas. The two of them fought fiercely, and there were constant rumbling explosions. But what were the expressions of the pirates watching? Why didn't they feel nervous at all during the internal fight of the pirates? They all had smiles on their faces, pointing their fingers, as if they were commenting. They looked so relaxed, didn't they? They just needed to move some stools, get some melon seeds and beer, and eat while watching. Is this an internal fight among the star pirates? It's just like watching a football game. Then, Viking found another abnormality. Li Huamui and Xing, the two men, were fighting fiercely in their mechas, punching back and forth, and sparks flying everywhere. But why didn't the two men fall down after fighting for such a long time? According to this brutal fighting method, their mechas should have been riddled with holes. Could it be a fake fight? They deliberately fought in order to lure the snake out of its hole? Viking's heart skipped a beat, and he had a bad premonition. No way. Viking thought seriously for a while and felt that his reaction speed was quite fast. Even if the other party found out, they would not have time to set a trap. Then what is? Viking was a little confused. Captain, these two people fought for a long time. How come the mechas are not damaged? The star pirates were also confused and asked in a low voice. No damage. Viking's eyes narrowed, staring at Li Huamui and Xing's mechas. After a long time, he finally realized that the outer armor of the two mechas was different. It was actually a cyan crystal, and there was a layer of mist around the mechas. Oh my god. A flash of lightning suddenly flashed through Viking's mind, and he finally recognized star-devouring armor. Those two mechas are equipped with star-devouring armor. Star-devouring armor? A 2-star pirate group can actually afford star-devouring armor? The star pirates of the Son of Slaughter were dumbfounded at this moment, with a dull look on their faces. One piece of star-devouring armor costs more than 200,000 star crystals. 2 pieces cost 500,000 star crystals. We are both 2-star pirate groups. Why is there such a big difference? The star pirates of the Son of Slaughter looked at their boss Viking with resentful eyes, thinking that they were a little too miserable. Not good. 2 mechas equipped with devourer armor. We are no match for them. Retreat. Wiggins' face was stiff, and his voice was even more frighteningly dry. He was ready to flee when he saw that things were not going well. However, the mechas of the Sons of Slaughter were too close to the Mary. Li Huamei and Tichen were not blind, and they had already discovered that this group of people were sneaking around, so they immediately stopped fighting and shouted, "Who are you?" Seeing that they were discovered, they couldn't escape, even if they wanted to. Wiggin had no choice but to stand up and shouted, "We are the Sons of Slaughter pirates. I advise you to surrender and surrender, otherwise, don't blame us for being rude." Ha ha ha. Li Huamei didn't answer, but sneered. After experiencing the power of the devourer armor herself, her self-confidence swelled unprecedentedly. She didn't take the Sons of Slaughter's mechas seriously at all. Li Huamei, don't be so arrogant. Although you have the star-devouring armor, so what? When the fight starts, you can protect yourself, but can you protect the people under your command? Wei Jin felt Li Huamei's contemptuous eyes, and became even more angry, shouting loudly, "This." Li Huamei calmed down, and thought about it, and felt that Wei Jin was right. The star-devouring armor is very strong, but it is strong in defense. Li Huamei and Tichen have no problem protecting themselves. However, if they are held back by the Son of Slaughter and the Star Pirates using human wave tactics, then, who will win and who will lose is still unknown. However, one thing is certain. Once 2-star pirate groups of the same level start fighting, casualties are inevitable. Wei Jin secretly groaned in his heart. The situation that was originally a crushing situation was forced to be balanced. Now he is also riding a tiger, and it is difficult to back down. Who would have thought that the Bloody Mary Star Pirates got 2 sets of star-devouring armor from somewhere? He had already said the harsh words, and he could neither advance nor retreat. He felt very uncomfortable. Li Huamei was secretly complaining at this moment. She didn't want her people to be hurt. However, looking at the current situation, it seemed unlikely. The situation was tense, and the arrow was on the string, and it had to be fired. A bloody battle was inevitable. Chapter 950 Surrender without a fight. A bloody massacre was about to begin. Xia Xingchen, who had been silent all the time, selected 10 people from the pirates, who were watching the excitement outside, and asked them to send their mechas to the mecha workshop. These 10 people were mecha masters on the Mary. They thought that they were going to fight, so Master Crossing wanted to debug their mechas for them. They didn't think much, and just did as he said. After the mechas were sent to the workshop, they were driven out, and waited at the door. After waiting for a long time, there was no movement in the workshop. The 10 mecha masters stood in the corridor, and they couldn't help but complain. "Master Crossing, you are too slow. There is a fight outside, and he is still dawdling. Yeah, does it take so long to repair a mecha? Besides, we are not going to carry out any long-term mission. We are just going outside to fight." Swish. At this time, the door opened. Xia Xingchen came over with sweat on his forehead and a mechanical arm in his hand. He waved and said, "Okay. Go and drive your own mechas." The 10 space pirates entered the mecha workshop, and were stunned when they saw their own mechas. 10 mechas, all equipped with devouring star armor. "Master Axing, what are you?" Everyone was stunned. "This is for you." Xia Xingchen waved his hand with great pride. "Young men, you are about to go to the battlefield. As your logistics, I must ensure that your equipment is the strongest." But Xia Xingchen had another sentence in his heart that he hadn't said. Once these 10 mechas equipped with devouring star armor went out, there would definitely be no fight. The strength of the two sides was too different. The members of the Son of Slaughter space pirates were not fools. They were definitely not in vain. There was silence in the mecha workshop. After hearing what Xia Xingchen said, everyone was stunned. After a long while, a cheer broke out. Long live Master A Crossing, long live Master A Crossing, I have never seen anyone better than you in my life. The pirates were all in tears. They were all rough people without much culture, so they had to use all the compliments on Xia Xingchen. Some of the praises were really too much, and even Xia Xingchen blushed a little after hearing them. Boom. At this time, there was an explosion outside. The Mary seemed to be attacked and shook violently. There should be a fight outside. Xia Xingchen waved his hand and shouted, "Go and help." Yes. The mecha masters responded and entered the mecha cockpit one after another. 10 mechas equipped with devouring star armor lined up and slowly walked out of the Mary pirate ship. At this moment, Viking had already led his men to surround Li Huamui and Tixin. Both sides had already started to fight, but for a while, they were helpless with the devouring star armor. The reason why Wei Jin chose to attack in the end was because he had not seen any mecha masters other than Li Huamui and Tai Xiang coming out of the spaceship. Opportunities are rare and will never come back. Wei Jin was also a decisive person and decided to start a war immediately. However, Wei Jin did not expect that 10 mechas would come out of the spaceship at the beginning of the fight. 10 mechas were nothing. After all, Wei Jin had 50 mechas. However, when Wei Jin saw that these mechas were all equipped with devouring star armor, he was stunned. Not only Wei Jin, but the star pirates of the Son of Slaughter were also stunned at this moment, staring at the 10 mechas with wide eyes. 10 mechas equipped with devouring star armor. The 2 mechas equipped with devouring star armor were already facing a great enemy and felt that the battle was very strenuous. Now there are 10 more. What is going on? The star pirates of the Son of Slaughter are now dizzy and feel that it is unreal. Wei Jin calculated the value of the 12 sets of devouring star armor in his mind. Even if he calculated it based on 200,000 star crystals per set, it would still be 2.4 million star crystals. This was an astronomical figure that Wei Jin could not even think about. But then again, Bloody Mary was also a second tier star pirate group. Why were they so rich that they could equip 12 sets of devouring star armor? Did they discover the time and space treasure of the legendary star pirate Emperor Roger? Wei Jin could not help but think about it in a mess. Li Huamui and Tai Xiang took a breath of cold air when they saw that their men were all equipped with devouring star armor. Giving away 2 sets of devouring star armor had already made Li Huamui feel that Xia Xingchen regarded money as dirt. Now he gave away 10 sets. This was no longer generous. Li Huamui could only think of one word to describe it: spendthrift. Damn it. 12 sets of devouring star armor. So impressive. I, Tixin, have never admired a person so much in my life. Master Axing, you are the first one. Tixin was so excited that he slapped his thighs in the cockpit, and his thighs turned red. Wei Jin. The situation reversed, and the Bloody Mary pirates took the dominant position. Li Huamui turned her head and looked at the leader of the other pirate group. Sure. Without any hesitation, Wei Jin immediately raised his hands and surrendered with his 50 pirates. Fight? Don't be ridiculous. The 12 mechas equipped with devouring star armor are stronger than the 3-star pirate group and can fight on equal terms with the 4-star pirate group. The Sons of Slaughter are only a 2-star pirate group. How can they win? They can only surrender. The mecha masters of the Sons of Slaughter got off the mechas one after another, hugged their heads, and lay on the ground. Li Huamui asked his men to tie these people up with ropes and lock them in a sealed cabin. Then, Li Huamui took Tixin to Xia Xingchen to discuss how to deal with these pirates. Li Huamui knew very well that the victory of this battle had little to do with her, but all the credit went to Xia Xingchen. Master Axing, these pirates have all surrendered, and I have sent people to receive their pirate spaceships. What should we do next? Li Huamui came to the mecha workshop and found Xia Xingchen. Haha, you are the leader. You have the final say. Xia Xingchen couldn't help but smile after hearing this. But, I want to ask Master Axing for his opinion. After all, our current identity is very special. This group of people also received a bounty order from Blackbird, so they came to oppose us. Li Huamui's expression was very serious. Well, How do you pirates usually treat prisoners? Xia Xingchen nodded. Generally, of course, they are executed. Pirates don't keep prisoners. Li Huamui whispered. Execution. Although they are all pirates, this method is too cruel. Xia Xingchen frowned slightly. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.